What is it by again? The Depeches?
Depeche Mode.
Depeche Mode?
Yeah.
The Depeches. I thought it was like an Indian boy band. The Depeches.
Oh, yeah, you're like spelling it different and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, because it's spelled Depeche.
Yes, I've heard of shit like that. Okay, you might have to be on.
Their music is really good.
If there's anything interesting happening
Do I
in
need
the chat.
to lean in?
No. I think.
Check the chat.
I'll keep an eye on it, but we should be sort of. This is what our voices are sounding like from here, so I think we should be good to just generally talk towards it.
Okay.
But you don't need to lean in really too much.
Check 1. Sibilance.
Yeah.
Sibilance.
That's pretty sweet.
I'm doing Tom Hanks. That's Tom Hanks as the roadie for Aerosmith.
Yeah.
In the Wayne's World epi, which appeared in an epi of Saturday Night Live in the 80s, I think, whenever... Pretty close to the time the film came out. But actually sooner. Because it was when I was still in high school and the film came out when I was in college.
What were we talking about right before we got on?
We were talking about how Europe is not real.
Oh, yeah. I don't believe Europe is real. And actually, I still believe that Europe is real. But Emma's about to convince me that it's not. And I'm susceptible to these kind of arguments. So
okay, well, first of all, welcome to the stream.
Welcome to the stream.
I'm Em Allyn, founder... and member of the Europe Denial Movement.
The Europe Denial.
My theory is that Europe is not real. Mm-hmm. And it is for many reasons that I believe this.
I can't agree with you more, personally.
Thank you.
Spell them out. So most people would say, seems to me like Europe is real. I've been there. I know my family is from there, hypothetically.
Right.
Why is it not?
So I would say you believe you've been there. You believe you've been there. Yes, I believe people believe Europe is real. Boy, it isn't.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing.
What?
You get
What's
on
the
a
thing?
plane.
What's the thing?
You get on a plane,
and you don't know where it's going.
You fly for some amount of time.
You don't know where it's going.
You're in the sky. You have no reference point geographically. Then the plane lands. You go into an airport.
Yeah.
Guess what? Airports can be made to seem that they're in a foreign country very easily. You just throw a new backdrop on everything and put the signs in a different language.
That's the number one. Yeah.
You get out.
So do you think
plane,
Europe is in America?
And they're like, fur, you're in Europe.
Hello, welcome to Europe.
Or whatever.
Welcome to Europe.
We are in France. I am in Italy.
Yeah,
I mean, literally.
Yes.
It's so goofy.
It's so goofy, it can't be real. It's like Disney World. Like, no one, you couldn't make that up if you...
Well, honestly, what I think is most people who think they've been to Europe actually have only been to Epcot Center.
I agree.
In Orlando, Florida.
Could not agree more with you.
But possibly there's something else going on where it's like, it's someplace in like the middle of the United States where they don't really have any freeways and stuff.
I was gonna guess, it must be Epcot, but like they tell you obviously about Epcot, Disney, like California or whatever, Florida, wherever it is. Is it only in Florida or is it in both? Epcot
is only in Florida.
That's only in Florida. Okay, so that's the one they tell you about. The one they don't tell you about is this sprawling, massive Epcot in like where? Like Wisconsin?
Right, exactly.
Idaho, South Dakota. It's somewhere over there.
To get where there's really nobody or nothing, you really need to be in... I'm going to go ahead and say, and this is based on personal experience.
Yeah.
You need to go to the place where Missouri and Kansas and like Texas or something.
That intersection.
Oklahoma. No.
That
Oklahoma,
sort of unholy
Missouri,
triad.
And Kansas. Mm-hmm. It's just all one blur there.
Okay.
And there's a lot of wide... When I drove to California in 2014... What you don't realize, people, is that in the middle part of America, there's these extra huge freeways with really huge wide lanes and a lot of lanes. And these huge machineries come through. Holy crap, I never seen any...
What are they doing? The only thing that you would need a beam that size for would be to build fake Italy in South Dakota.
And seeing that was 11 years ago. And so, but like they're just keeping maintenance because this has been going on since who knows when. Since the very first person was like, remember Europe? And everybody's like, what are you talking about? And they're like, Europe. And they tell this story. Yeah. It's kind of like then they were like, it just became a meme. Yeah. But like a mind meme.
Yeah. So American in the chat. Welcome, American. This is Em Allyn. It's a very special guest. His name is American.
Oh,
American.
In the chat.
And don't let me forget American. You told me you had a special experience that we didn't get to elaborate on. So feel free to join the Discord. Feel free to type it in the chat. But you gotta let me know something. Feel free to text me individually. But you gotta let me know somehow what's going on here, Lil. And yeah. So Em is sort of an esteemed philosopher, linguist. I would say scholar of linguistics and. Very funny stand-up comedian.
Thank you.
And she has a very convincing theory that Europe is not real. And so I just asked her, like, well, why would you say that? I've been there. I know people from there. And she says, well, have you been to the middle of the United States? There's nothing there. And you see trucks bringing big beams and stuff. So who's to say you're not just flying around South Dakota for a couple hours,
machinery,
and then you land, and they go, "Oh, welcome to France. Here is baguettes," but you're in the middle of Idaho. So I'm convinced. I'm not fully convinced because is there another layer to this? Why do you think? Like, what about history? Let me ask you about world history. Yeah. What about like medieval history, like how we supposedly got here?
Well, I know that some would say that as a clearly American citizen who comes from people who ostensibly were European originally. Yeah. It would be rather untoward for me to not then turn around and believe in Europe. But to that I say...
Yeah. Doesn't it feel disrespectful not to believe in Europe?
In no way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Because here's why.
Here's why.
Europe is not real, okay? For one thing, universal health care.
Right. I mean, come on.
I think Europe was invented to taunt Americans.
Yes, like a media
ploy. To make them think that like there's this other more civilized world that they're not in.
That's right.
So that Americans would constantly buy like fake crappy things that they think are nice that Europeans would like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, look at my lovely China. But it's like those like really cheap Carell. It's like Carell wear, and they're like, my fancy British tea, hey, my British tea. And so then it's like, okay, universal. Yeah. Oh, you just go to the doctor and they just help you.
But I'm curious how you think we got here. If like so the idea is Europe is this like sort of creation by the media to sell us like exotic goods, right? Like foreign, like, oh, this is tea from England.
Well, no, it's to make us feel inferior.
Oh, just for the
to make us feel like, our country was here for all these thousands of years, and yours is only a couple hundred years old. So don't talk to us because we already know how to do society.
So you're not even like a young Earth creationist. You're like a young America. Like,
well, no,
the Earth started like 200 years ago in America. Is that how we're...
No, okay. No, this has nothing to do with the Earth. This has to do with the Great Scam, which is just like... Yeah. I mean, okay, so universal health care. Yeah. Then also, like, if you live in Europe, like, you can just, like, have a baby and, like, be off work for, like, a year or two. And then just come back and be like, sit at your same desk, and they're like, they pay you more now because time went by.
Yeah, because time went by,
so the money's worth less, so we give you more now.
So you get more
Plus,
money.
now you have a baby, so we should help you take care of it.
Wait, let's see. Okay, so Numenon says, and the Earth is we're actually from Canada. Wait, American? You're actually from Canada? Oh, no, we come from Canada. Like, they birthed us. Yeah, I would believe that. Well, and
seeing that could also make sense, but I don't think so because we are nice. Americans are nice. Canadians.
Wait, what? No, it's the opposite. Canadians are nice.
No.
We're
have you been to Canada?
Oh, is it like passive-aggressive? I've never been. I don't think Canada's real, personally, but...
Well, that's another whole thing.
As a European, I'll let you in on a secret. We're all just Americans pulling a prank on the rest of you.
This is what I'm saying. You're in the middle of America. You're in the middle middle of America, you're laughing. Oh, ho, ho, VV. Eating baguettes. And then not only that, but like, oh, what's that thing of like, in the summertime, like every business just closes for 2 hours so people take a nap in the afternoon. Oh, cute. Yeah. You guys are so cute.
Yeah. I think you think that all of Europe is like, well, actually, let's ask Numenon. Like, Numenon, where are you in Europe? You're like Slavic or something, right? Are you from, I can't remember exactly where you hail. But it sounds like Em is just describing either France or Italy. Kind of the lazy ones. But a little bit of England.
Well...
Kind of England too, but part of me just wants to live in like a tiny little village in England and just eat a crumpet almost every day.
Well,
wouldn't that be nice?
Go down to Oklahoma.
Yeah, and visit it.
See if you can find that village, because I'm sure it's all set up and there's people. And the thing is, what I'm trying to say is, I don't think Europeans know that their thing isn't real. Like, I think this is an overall, like, it's like a psyop.
I agree. A worldwide psyop.
History, whatever we have learned as quote unquote history has all been psyops, like, all along. So, like, the truth is, we could be standing on Pangea right now. We wouldn't know. We would not know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. Okay, well, I'm calling me convinced. Let us know in the chat, guys. Maybe we can drop a poll.
My final point is this as to why Europe's not real.
Yeah, what's your final closing argument? In case anyone's not convinced, I'm sold.
My
sold
closing
personally.
argument
I don't know
as to why Europe is not a real thing is because Europe has kings and queens and princesses and princes. And I'm sorry, that kind of like a mythical fairy tale lands. So if you have that, you're living in a fairy tale land.
That's true.
And I don't believe in you.
It's true. Okay. All right, let's see. I'm in between right, and I'll tell you that something that seems almost impossible happened. I have no explanation for it. I'll fill you into the details in a bit. That's exactly what I'm hoping for, American. Thank you, brother. I've been literally curious about that. You just dropped that like it was nothing last time, like a week ago in the stream, and I've been thinking about it all week. So you either DM me directly on Discord if it's personal, or feel free to come in and talk about it later, because I'm really curious about that. That sounds awesome.
I'm also growing very concerned because Numenon says that they're working for the CIA.
Yep.
And this is exactly the kind of thing they do. Maybe sometime I'll tell you about my theory that my father worked for the CIA.
You have a theory that your dad did?
Yes. Absolutely.
I mean, I'm somewhat interested in that.
You want to hear about that?
Yeah, I mean...
does the chat...
Yeah.
Chat, is this real? Chat, what is happening?
I knew someone whose dad did work for the Stasi, or whatever, not the Stasi. What's the Berlin one behind the Berlin Wall? Maybe it is the Stasi. I don't know. But anyway, it was the Soviet... German spies, and she had some crazy stories about him.
That's wild.
Isn't that crazy? Can you imagine spying on a bunch of like?
What if her dad is my dad and she is my dad's secret family?
That would be insane. That would be insane.
No, because my dad's CIA suspect things were in mostly South America, though.
So he would go down there for work or something?
Mm-hmm. Oh, no. Regularly. And the thing is, he worked for a company that made, like, machines that they use in hospitals, or, like, it tests how much bacteria is in a sample.
Yeah.
And he was just, like, a guy that, like, fixed them and had a certain territory in America where he would go to hospitals and places where they were at and maintain and fix the machines. Wow. Like an IT guy, but for these specific machines. He was a field technician guy.
Okay.
In Michigan. And then all of a sudden it's like, I'm going to Chile for 3 weeks, like, to train the guys on how to use them. Like, I got to train the technicians. And I'm like,
really?
Don't they have, like, a whole team of guys who do that?
Was your dad, like, military or anything before that?
Yes.
He was?
Yes.
Oh, this
he
guy's
was in the
total
Navy.
CIA. Total CIA.
He was in the Navy during the Vietnam conflict. Oh, and his job at the Navy was technical machinery stuff because he worked on the, like, sonar and the radar machines.
He was teaching, like,
on his ship.
You think he was, like, hacking or, like, engineering spy stuff, or, like...
I think he wasn't lying when he said that he was going down there to train guys on how to do certain things. But I think the things he was training them to do were not for those hospital machines that he ostensibly worked on. And it was for like things explosives. Of like some kinds of things of like subverting the government of where that was at. Because also in the era of the internet, I was able to look up some like Sunshine Law like files of CIA missions and stuff.
No way.
And it lines up on the dates and the places. Like seriously. Really? And I presented this to my dad several times. I kept being like, try to catch him. I'd be like, hey, Dad, were you in the CIA? Just to see if he would quickly go, okay, yes. But no, he never would. He'd always be like, he would never answer though. This is
really. Oh, he probably was.
Listen, then. Chat. I don't know if you guys are still with us, but here's some really great advice. If you ever don't want to answer a question, just keep on never answering it. Like, if someone asks you something,
wise words.
Go, why do you ask? And then if they go like, hysterical. Oh, because I want to know, you go, oh, what makes you want to know so bad? Like, just turn everything back on them. And then if they finally are like, just come on and say, were you that or not? Then you go like, what makes you think that I was in the CIA? My dad would do the whole, he would just never get to I would keep trying to ask it different ways. And he'd just be like, I'm really curious why you're so obsessed with this. And he would just never, and I took his technique. And I used to do this to my friend Zach Miller, he's a comedian. Yeah. Somehow at one point in time it came up that like, we were all hanging around and somebody was accusing me of being a lizard person. And
you're not a lizard person. You're probably like more like a bird person. I
do have a tattoo of a lizard.
Do you really? Oh, maybe you are a lizard. You're not a lizard.
I was born in Miami and I played around with lizards when I was a baby, I guess. But anyways, so somebody was like, are you a lizard person? And I was like, why do you ask? And like I did that thing that my dad did. I would just never, I'd be like, I just don't understand why you're so concerned over whether I'm a lizard person or not.
That's hysterical.
And then I'd be like...
That is so funny. And then did this guy start to slowly...
And then Zach would be like, if you ask a lizard person directly, they have to tell you. It's like cops. And I was like, is that how you think lizard people work? And I still did another guy. I was never. And for like years, even if I saw him now, if he thought about it, he'd probably try to ask me about it. He'd probably go, hey, are you a lizard person?
Because you also know that he has gone to at least one of his friends, whichever friend he feels most comfortable with, he's gone to him and be like, dude, I got to tell you something.
I think I know a lizard person.
I think Em Allyn might be a actual lizard person. And then his friend will be like, dude, what the fuck? You're crazy. I'd be like, no, listen. I know it's crazy. At first it was just a joke. But I asked her. And she never said no. And I asked her again and again and again. And she just kept giving these cryptic... And this is like his yes life or no. Now. That's his life
never
now.
Give an answer.
That's incredible.
It's always questions back. And that's also true. Even if it's something you don't necessarily want to answer. Yeah. But also it's just like an impertinent question that someone asks you. The first one that I said is always the most disarming one and will usually put people in their tracks is when you go, why do you ask? Because if somebody's asking you something that they are just being nosy, they don't have a good answer why they ask.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so if you say, why do you ask? They'll go, oh, no reason. And then they don't keep asking.
No, they can't. You've caught them.
Right, because if they have no reason to ask, then you don't have to answer.
That genuinely is a good life lesson. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the last one was. It was something crazy. that one was good.
What, don't believe in Europe?
Don't believe in Europe. Yeah, that's what it's
Never answer questions.
Never answer questions. I like, this whole channel is basically about answering questions. Sometimes I answer.
Well, that's why we thought it would be good to bring me on.
Yes, that's right. Okay,
it's point counterpoint.
Did we have anything in particular?
I think we lost the chat.
No, we didn't lose the chat.
They said KGB.
They're all watching. Yeah. They're showing.
Wait, you think my dad was KGB now? Oh my God, that just flips it a zillion times from Sunday. What's going on? Yeah. Now you just blew my mind because I never even considered that.
Maybe he was a double agent. Did you look up what the... Well, anyway, you'll find out what those operations are next time.
Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh yeah, is that a big one? I don't know anything about like CIA.
I have souvenirs from those places that my dad brought me, so like I know that's where he went, or at least
one of the souvenirs.
That's where he thinks he went. That's where he thinks he went.
Yeah, exactly.
Any place you've ever been, you just think you've been there.
Yeah. But this is so. M basically has that is what.
Oh my gosh, Numenon.
Yeah.
Whether sarcastic or not, I love your comment. Thank you so much. You're a darling.
He's never sarcastic.
You're a darling.
They're just speechless. I knew they were speechless due to the words of wisdom. But so this is an interesting point, and it was unintentional. But David also has been to Trinidad and Tobago, but he's CIA. He's not.
Well,
KGB,
that's what I always thought my dad was.
Yeah, so there you go.
No, I always thought he was CIA because they did go there in the year that my dad went there. I don't know about the exact dates because I was a child, but I know the years, and it's like, whoa.
Well, I believe it. Okay, this is what M's Gnostic theology leads you to: is not believing in Europe. The CIA thing is reasonable. But genuinely, if you believe what our friend, we have a sort of he's like the heel sometimes on the channel, is a fella named Infamous, sort of an atheist, a very atheist fella, and he comes in. It might be my brother. Yeah, it might be your brother, and he comes in and he sometimes is the aggressor, I'll say. But what I'll accuse him of is I actually forgot what I was going to accuse him of, but sometimes it falls into this like. Gnostic. Oh yeah, that's right. Something called solipsism. Okay, this is where you can't say that anything outside of I exist is real, and it's this like kind of like technical gotcha that you can apply to any argument you just want to blow out of the water.
It's Kierkegaard. Don't trust the Dutch. That's another life lesson.
Don't trust the Dutch. For one, they're not real. Yeah.
Good reason not to trust them.
Don't trust the Dutch.
Don't trust the Dutch, honey. Listen.
So, but that's what it leads. Ultimately, when you're in some sort of like argument about your worldview or about like your theology or about anything like that, and you get to the point of solipsism, basically what you're saying, that's the equivalent of dropping Europe isn't real into a chat, into your conversation. That's basically what it is.
But the difference is two things.
Yeah.
One, I'm right. And two, I invented the Europe denial movement because of the flat earth movement. I said if the earth could be flat and a bunch of people's dingbat heads, then I can say that Europe isn't real.
Exactly.
Because I guess it is kind of a solipsism, I guess, when you get down to it. But
it's
funny to me. It's funny to me.
No, it's
especially as a European American, like a person whose family definitely came here from like Wales.
Yeah, literally.
Of all the fully Europe places.
Literally. I'm wearing the Celtic cross right now.
Wales is literally the most mystical place left on Earth.
It's so awesome. I want to go so badly. I'm trying to plan a trip.
Yeah, that's why my last name has a Y in it instead of an E.
That makes sense because it's
our
Allyn.
Language has like.
That's why my name has a Y in it
have like
instead of an E.
700 Y's in it.
My name is RHYS.
That's why I couldn't find your channel.
That's why.
I'm not subscribed to his channel and I'm on it. I'll fix that.
Yeah.
Look, I'll fix that off cam.
I'll
fix it off cam.
I'll look it up for you on your phone.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, that's why. I didn't. Yeah, I guess we'd never seen my name in writing before.
Amsterdam has great food.
Yeah.
Actually, honestly, honey, that's not what I know Amsterdam for.
I think she's talking about the prostitutes.
I'm talking about the cannabis.
Oh, the cannabis.
The coffee shops.
That's right. They're famous. That just shows the difference. That's where our
The
minds
guy
are
that I lived with in college and who
Lord
I moved to
me.
Alaska with, he was an excellent cannabis horticulturist, which is why I stayed with him for a very long time when I shouldn't have. And he... When we moved to Alaska, the stuff that we were moving up there with was stuff he had grown with seeds he had bought in Amsterdam.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was like he grew them and then
crazy.
cloned them and stuff, and
That's
so it was like
style.
it was like the current level of how weed is like so super powerful now because people have been really like fine tuning it.
Yeah,
but he already was doing that, and this was like 1993 or whatever, and I was like, I'll stay with you.
Damn, he was ahead of his time.
I'll stay with you even though you're a monster. You have the best cannabis I've ever had. I won't leave until it's clear that I might die if I stay.
Oh my goodness. Poor Em. Everybody say a prayer for Em right now.
No, this is a prior Em. She's fine.
She's fine.
She lived.
She lived.
I mean,
She's here today.
1993.
1993, baby.
Well, I didn't finally get away from the dude until 96.
Okay, that's not too bad. So it could be worse. Some people that last for a long time.
Well, to be fair, I then jumped to several different other ones and
that were just like
were
not
similar.
Yeah.
But he was the OG.
Yeah, the OG. What was that? You just wanted some kind of like stability or something like that? Not that we don't have to get into all this, but
no, I mean, I think it has to do with. I mean, I think people's feelings about wanting to be like coupled up and paired up and like working towards some like future thing or whatever is very tied up in religion, because religion almost universally encourages people to make families and to be like part of a unit instead of a single cell. And so people will make some bad choices when they feel like what they need or what they want is to be part of that group unit dynamic
but if it's not done healthily, but religion doesn't just say be a family, it says be a healthy family, right? Well, it tries, but then people misinterpret that, and then they think it's just be a family.
Well, that's like you can put the word healthy on any box of anything.
Well, no, and then it describes it. Then
healthy.
It describes it.
Cigarettes, healthy.
But just imagine a healthy, but just a substitute healthy for if every single person in the family were acting like Christ. That is what religion tells you about. And then if humans go and then say, well, we should just make any old family with our own evil human ways and stuff like that, that's a different story, right? Or no?
Well, now you're getting into the thing of being like saying that humans are evil naturally, and I don't believe that.
Right, and I'm not trying to push
so that already starts it off from a bad thing. But, but I think the thing is like, the reality is that this is how I look at things. Let's to break it really down, I look at it like this. Mm-hmm. People are born an infant.
Yes.
Very few, if any, people are born fully grown.
I knew one guy.
Maybe it happens in Europe.
I knew a guy named... Yeah, that's how it works in Europe, actually. Yeah.
Another reason it's not real. But you come here, you're an infant. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have ever been around a human infant.
Yeah.
Now, while they are born... Which I just found out. They're born with their eyes open. Who knew?
Really?
I thought they were like puppies. But no, babies
are born, their eyes are open?
Well, I mean, maybe they're closed when they come through.
Right, but they could
be. They can see right
Wait, we
away.
have, before we go to, we do have a couple.
What's going
on? We just got the coffee shops. Yes, I had great coffee while there. That's
yes,
what yeah, that's
exactly.
Right. That's right. I remember that. And then
very dank coffee.
American asked an interesting question. Is Em Christian, if you don't mind me asking? And I think Em, I'll let you answer that.
I will say no, I am not a Christian. I am not a religious person.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And
I am not an atheist. I'm not an agnostic.
Oh, really?
I'm not religious. I'm not spiritual. I literally have things that I think, but then I go like, who knows? And so I'm just always just like, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. I get that. I think.
But I will tell you this. Yeah. I was raised extremely religiously in the Christian religion, in the Midwest American Methodist tradition, which Methodism in 2025 is not what it was when I was growing up. It's much more open type of a religion now that accepts a lot more different types of like people and lifestyles and concepts of what's okay to be Christians. But when I was growing up in it, it was not like that. It was very John Wesley. If you've ever known anything about John Wesley, like Methodism is another religion flavor that came out of the teachings of Wesley.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Another one is Wesleyan, which is a type of church, Wesleyan.
Yeah.
Which obviously comes from Wesley. And then there's a third, which I believe is Presbyterian.
Okay, I've heard of them. I know Presbyterians.
I think all three, the Methodist, Presbyterians, and the Wesleyans, are rooted in John Wesley.
So what is there a distinguishing factor about the ideology of
Yes, John
Methodism?
Wesley was a person who was extremely a scholar.
Okay.
And he viewed Christian faith and Christianity as something that could be not perfected, but continually improved by the continual study
of Scripture.
And rehashing and studying and learning again and studying more and learning more about the not just what's in the text, but like the surrounding history. Like learn as much as you can. Always be learning more and more and like studying and try to come to a deeper, profound understanding of what the Bible is. And through that, then your faith is strengthened, I guess, or whatever.
Okay.
So,
interesting.
So those
do Methodists
three,
take communion every Sunday?
No, they do not.
So yeah, what's up with that? I don't get that.
Those three places of religion, and especially I know about Methodists, but I think the other two quite a bit because there was one of each of those in our town, and I knew kids that were in those, so I would sometimes go to theirs.
Right.
What they have every week is Sunday school. That's for sure. And
it's like legalistic or something.
Well, and the thing is that like some difference that I observed long ago and still maintain as quite a physical representation of an ideological difference is that the vast majority of Protestant churches have their Sunday school classrooms contained within the same building as their worship center.
Right.
But the majority of Catholic churches have two separate buildings, one for their Catholic education and one for the worship.
Right.
And that is quite a big sample of the difference between the two because most Protestant religions view it as by studying the word, that's how you are also worshiping.
Right.
Whereas Catholicism is far more that like worship is like kind of like going into a trance and it's not using your brain parts. And then when you go into the classroom, that's where you learn. And then what you're learning there is you're not really reading the Bible and studying that. You're learning like the catechisms, which is like coming through filters, you know?
Yeah.
Because the Catholics don't really want their people to study the actual Bible super closely. Because originally, when they didn't have copies of Bibles for everybody, only the priest would have the Bible. Right. So you couldn't read the Bible by yourself. You had to go to church and have him be reading it to you on the homilies and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why the Protestants were like, just like how the Protestants even started being a thing, which was the king being like, I'm gonna just have a divorce.
Well, that's the Anglican Church, which to be fair is the church that I belong to.
Well, right, and but what I'm saying is like the
not all
break
Protestantism.
apart. The break apart came from the thing of being like more independent.
The
and
sola
not relying
scriptura,
on a priest, not having like an intermediary between you and God.
Yeah,
and Catholics,
which I can appreciate, but I would just say, ¿por qué no los dos? Aren't they just two separate types of worshiping? Like, yes, there's the trance, like ritualistic, and I agree that they should be separate spaces. I completely agree with that.
No, I don't agree with one or the other more than the other.
Okay.
I just think it exemplifies a big difference on the philosophy.
Yes, on the philosophy
and
the
the general approach of the two different styles.
Wait, hold on. Jackson says, "Isn't that just post hoc rationalizing?" I don't know. Sorry, I don't know when you sent that, but ask us what is post hoc rationalizing. We'll respond to that. Because I'm not sure what that would be in reference to. American, he agrees. He finds it hard to believe humans are naturally evil. I just don't like that concept. Well, so my response to that is, it's not that we're evil. So one of the ways that the word evil is translated into our modern English definition makes it seem like this thing. But the thing that it was understood to be, as far as I understand, from the Hebrew and the Greek, is less good than. So if the question is, are people less good than God? The answer is obviously yes. That's how I see it. And that's what I see sin as, right? So evil is this, it's not like a thing that's in battle with good. It's the lack of good. So you fill yourself up with as much good as possible in order to extinguish evil. But I'm not calling any person evil, really, and any individual evil. And I'm not judging even that within them as I see it, and within myself as I see it. I'm just begging for mercy. That's all. Does that make any sense to the chat and to you? Does that like soften the
chat
evil?
What is happening? No, I'm just kidding. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I think, like, again, it's one of those things where it's just like, I think perhaps the word you originally meant to say when you said the evil human tendency would be more like the word sinful.
Yeah, sinful.
Because sinful, when you say sinful, it's more like it's the sin, it's not the person.
Yes, yeah.
But evil is more like that's the person.
I see what you're saying.
And people that's really like thwart that away.
Yeah.
Whereas people can usually accept the fact that, like, yeah, everyone sins. Because especially if you look at what most of the religions list out as being sins, you kind of are definitely going to have done a few of those in your life. Like, there's almost no way you never wouldn't. Because some of them are so, like, kind of little. Like,
no, totally.
But then, like, when you're in church as a little kid and they're like, there are no small sins. All sins send you to hell. Then you're like, I'm a very bad person and I hate myself.
I wish they would emphasize more the cleansing relationship with Christ than the sin itself, right? Do you think that would have helped? Or do you think that is even fair reading of the Bible?
Well, I don't think it would have helped, because if you're implying that you require a cleansing, you're still implying that you are dirty and filthy and horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, if a cleansing is required, even though you're supposed to be God's creation, then what was this even for? Is this just a game?
No matter how...
Like a cat game, like, try to catch the mouse. Oh, do you believe in Jesus enough? Do you want to burn in hell? Like, it feels like that.
No, I get what you're saying. I definitely do. I'd say
But you know what? We the people like to party, so it don't matter. Look, listen, I'm not going to get all hung up over it.
No, yeah, I get that. And I'm not trying to push or, like, judge
and
or
honestly,
prod,
the truth is that I will say this. Yeah. Let's check the chat.
Yeah.
Evil is just a label. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So, but I mean... one thing I will say is this. Religion and belief in something is a source of great comfort to most people who experience it or have it. And for that, I will never condemn it fully.
Sure.
Because as a person who was raised extremely religious and who my mom has continuously maintained the amount of religiosity all through my life, and then my dad during the middle part of my life was not involved in church anymore and was like kind of like living his like more sinful life or whatever, but then like later then came back and was like even more religious and like going to mega church and stuff. Like, I'm not going to say that there aren't things about not just Christian faith, but any type of religious faith that are extremely helpful to people. And I say this as someone who has worked with the very elderly and people who are dying for most of my career as a working person, and even as a child volunteering. And so I've been around a lot of people who are close to death. Yeah. And the ones that have some kind of religious faith,
a little more peace.
Well, I wouldn't say they're more at peace, but I would say that what's causing them to feel at peace is the religion stuff.
Sure.
So that's good. But I just as many people who did not have any expressed thing about church and religion were still generally mostly at peace. This is what I always say about death is like...
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
When a person dies, they're at peace. Like, they're not...
Yeah.
It's usually not... Like, they're not usually afraid, and it's usually just like, oh, okay, all right, bye.
But see, to me, that speaks to something deep within us, because if it's true that death is what it is, like, that... And I don't think you believe this, so this is more to the person that thinks there's nothing after death. But if it's true that there is nothing after death, that should be the most existentially horrific, frightening, like mind-bending, torturous thing that you would have to face at the end of your life. But if people have this like general feeling, even if it doesn't come out as like a religious faith expression or accepting Christ or anything like that, if you have this like intrinsic feeling like it'll be okay, that speaks to me that it will be okay. Because by all terms of logic, by everything you as a living creature and all of your descendants know, death is the negation of everything you know. It should be existentially like impossible to deal with, which for some people it really is. And of course those people believe that their afterlife will be either nothingness or worse. I don't know.
Eternal fire.
Or the eternal fire. I mean,
this is the thing is like, this is my issue with most faiths, not just Christian, not just one flavor of Christian.
Yeah.
Most religions really do have a thing of like,
there's something else going to happen.
If you don't be good enough, if you don't try hard enough, then there's like damnation involved of some type.
Yeah.
And that's really the hard thing, is because people who've never been dead are telling you what's going to happen when you're going to die. And to me, that's right there where I go, no. And a lot of people who have a lot of religious faith put a lot of stock in the reports of those who've had near-death experiences.
Yeah, we talked about that actually last week.
We talked about it. And my thought on this is that if you're able to talk about the experience that you had, then it was not the experience of dying. Because if you had died, you would be dead. You would not be telling us about it.
But what do you say about what about when their heart stops and their brain stops and everything?
They're not dead, because if they can still come back and talk to you,
and that's the whole point. That there's something dead. Other than, if your heart is stopped and your brain is stopped, then there's something non-biological about you alive somewhere.
I don't know if that's true, but I just think where
else would it be if there's no movement in the brain and no movement? Where is it in your thigh? It's no
movement that the machineries can pick up.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay, all right.
But your body tissues obviously stayed alive because you came back and were alive. And if you're dead, all the cells in your body start dying, like, fast. And so that's the thing, is like, people who have near-death experiences do have a very interesting and wild experience. However, it is a biological experience that they have, and not as much of a spiritual one as they think it is. Because I think most people don't think it's spiritual as it is. It's a body experience. Because why is it a body experience? Because they didn't die. So, like, a death experience is not going to be a body experience, because you fully are not in the body anymore, because the body's dead.
I see what you're saying.
See what I mean?
Yeah,
so
I see what you're saying.
It's like, you can take what they say and go like, that's very cool, and I bet that sort of does happen.
Yeah.
But we don't know what happens after that.
Right.
And so that's my whole thing, is when they go like, everyone was waiting to meet me, but you didn't go in the room. So it's like, it could be a trap.
Yeah.
we don't know.
No,
we do not know.
Right. And so my point on that, that's why I only trust the one guy who did.
Right.
So that's what I'll just put at that, and then let's read some chats because they have some interesting points here.
Yeah, everybody's writing.
Very good distinction. I can get behind a sinful nature, but not just evil. Yeah, I think that's a great distinction. That's fine. I mean, Okay, so Newman, I think the church's main problem is how it just doesn't make sense to most. In my view, the church should focus on defending the faith through philosophy almost as much as they teach the Bible. I kind of agree. I tend to agree with you on that. I do, and I think the highfalutin philosophical theological conversations are necessary for people to accept it on a rational basis, because we are rational beings. We've been created with reason and the need to accept like fundamental laws and things like that. So we should be able to dive into that and know about these things, and that's why it was so easy for me to just walk right away off a ledge, because no one taught me the defense mechanisms against that. But anyway, okay. American, I honestly believe some people need religion to carry on with life, and some people don't. I think that's actually generally true. I just think you can't. Those people, if you talk to them, are generally, they have this strange like personal relationship with God, usually, that could only be increased by a more like outgoing one. But you might disagree with that. I don't know.
Well, my thing is that like it's the thing is that using religion or having religion as a way to get through life and make sense of life is not something to feel stupid or an idiot about. Because first of all, people been done doing that since before Christianity. And secondly, because again, nobody knows any, like, we don't really know. So if something makes you feel like, okay, I can keep going because I feel like, oh, you know, like, we're always working towards being more compassionate as a species and blah, 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 whatever, then, like, okay, good. Like, good. Like, my thing is at this big age I'm almost about to be at, it's like, whatever people have to do to, like, survive, basically. I mean, again, you get into some weird territory when you say things like that, because some people's thing they have to do to survive is, like, harm someone else, and that's not good.
That's not ideal.
But what I mean is whatever you have to internally do, whatever you have to do internally to make that little pit in your stomach let loose a little, and not be so like, what am I supposed to do? Because I mean, you're born as an infant, and literally the first thing infants do when they're born, if they're healthy, is they go like, ah!
They scream in terror.
Like, they're freaked out. And what I started to say earlier is, you're born as an infant. You don't know what any of it is. You're like, ah! And then a mere 5 or 6 years later, you have to go to school and start get grades on papers. You've just learned everything right now. And it's only been a mere 5 years. And people are like, you should learn your colors faster. Oh, should I? And then a mere only 20 years after you've been born.
You should get a job.
20 years after you were an infant, now you have your own infant.
Yeah.
And when you consider that the really outside edge of most human lifespans is around 100 of years, that means even the person who's the oldest among us was still a mere infant only 1 century ago, which time has shown us a century is very little time. And it's very, very little time for all there is to learn. And, you know, I mean, you were an infant. Now, a mere 26 years later, you're the CEO of a company? We're asking infants to drive cars? And so that's one way how I deal with people generally. Is because whenever I am faced with someone who is frustrating me, I try to recall that they were born an infant.
They were born yesterday. The funny thing about that phrase, what do you think I was born yesterday, pal? It's like, pretty much.
Because we all were.
Because we were pretty much born yesterday.
Every single one of us is just an infant trying to tell other infants, like, here's what I figured out. So go for it. Believe whatever works for you. Like, it's fine. I'm not mad.
I think that's why we need tradition and stuff, though. And something
Tradition.
And we need some kind of book or some kind of guy to tell us what to do, given that fact, don't you think? Or no? Maybe not.
I think we do.
We think we do, but you can figure it all out.
You come here, listen. This is how a lot of things happen. This is how a lot of religious crime is perpetrated, and bilking of people, and so on, and also how a lot of political shenanigans happens. And the reason is this. We are born as an infant, a very tiny little person who has no idea what is going on and has to figure all of it out. All of it. When you're born, you don't even know these are your hands.
No.
You just see them float in there.
And you're like, that's
And in the night, you scratch your face with
like,
them. They got to put socks on them. Because you're so just like,
really?
You don't know what's going on. That? Yeah, they put like mittens with no fingies.
No way.
And so the babies don't scratch the heck out of their face because they don't know while they're sleeping. They're like, anyways.
Whoa,
that's the kid. They're like, they're infants. That's what they're supposed to do, I guess, but whatever. And the thing is that, I lost the trail of what I was saying.
Well, we can go to I'll let you pick it up for a sec. But there's some comments too. We can help us pick it back up. Numenon said, okay, so... I can't remember. Wow, that's all good. I honestly believe some people... Okay, we talked about that. For example, I don't need it either way. American, we're still going to talk about that thing. Don't you forget about that thing. Numenon, I feel like the focus on religion bringing peace and happiness already assumes a secular framework. The Bible seems to teach that we should pursue the truth, even if it brings us nothing but misery. Indeed, we are commanded to carry our crosses. So that is actually an argument against this, like, oh, well, people believe in religion because it brings them comfort. Well, there's nothing comfortable about the promise that you will be crucified and that you will do that with grace. So that's just a quick point. I agree with you on that, Numenon. Not to hang on that. But Christianity doesn't ask you to be perfect, just asks you to accept a truth, which is different from most religions. Yeah, that's true. That is a nice feature of it. I think it acknowledges, the truth that we can't be perfect. We can't be perfect. And then David agrees with M here. He says, no book needed. We learn from our parents, our friends, our environment, etc. Okay, and I would just simply ask the question, where did they learn what they learned from? And then to American, we are all just going through, like, just as confused as the person next to us while believing we know the truth more than the other guy. Yeah, I'm not saying to be, like... prideful and like presume and impose what you think is the ultimate truth on other people unduly, but also respect the truth, speak it when you know it, speak it when it's proper to, because that's courage. Otherwise, the truth is like a sword that you wield at the right time. And of course you can use a sword to be a fucking dick and cut off like little kid's head in the Crusades or whatever, but that's not what I'm saying to do with it, right? I'm saying to defend the weak, to defend, God. But anyway, so American, then David, people believe in religion depending on where they were born.
Yeah.
Very
much
Any
so,
comments on that?
Because it's a community thing. I mean, that's the whole thing about religion is that, like, you can talk about an individual's personal faith, but that is very different from a church's like model of what they're doing.
Yeah.
And every individual in that church, because we all were born infants and we try to figure it all out, and like our brains are all different and stuff. Like, that's me and Reese were talking earlier before we went on this thing, that like when you consider the fact that like your brain is just... It's just a soft piece of tissue inside of, yes, a skull that's fairly hard, but also your skull, especially as a small child, and your head are like most of your body weight. And so you hit your head a lot. Like, most people experience a fair amount of head trauma, even if their parents are very good parents.
Yeah. Just
because kids be jumping off things and trying things out and stuff, and they knock their head around. And so then there's things that change in the brain. And so we're all trying to use our each different, like, jacked up brains to try to understand something that's undescribable, because that's when you get down to it, the concepts that religion puts out there, no matter what religion it is, are extremely indescribable. They're things that are not physical and material, so there are not words for them or descriptors.
That's fair.
So you're trying to describe something that's indescribable to a bunch of people who couldn't even all get the same interpretation of something that is describable.
Yeah, no, I get that. But that's why.
So that's why community is the important thing, because then it's like, well, and we might all have our own individual thoughts on this. At least we all go like, but we're all going to work together to like make the best life for each other and like try to like be the best example for what we believe, or like for Jesus or whatever, or for Allah or whoever. I'm not trying to. It's
well, on that point, that's what these guys are saying. They're saying, oh well, and to a guy here, welcome to the channel, brother. Welcome. Hope you enjoy. Is Em a Christian? I just started watching. No, Em is not. She's not a Christian. She's not an atheist or an agnostic, but she has a particular sort of theology or. Like I don't know, what would you say? I would actually consider you more like an agnostic, but...
I'll tell you, I brought a visual aid.
Oh, visual aid, nice. Okay, so David says, little Ahmed, born in an Islam country, swears that Islam is the truth. He can't help that. You are a Christian born in the U.S., so you believe Christianity is the truth. It becomes a mess because we have religious people fighting each other because of their truths. Okay, but David, by that logic, where were you born? I can't remember if you're American or not, but we were born in a secular society, you and I. So actually, I was born like fair weather religious, like go to church on Christmas and Easter or whatever, but was radically secularized to be an atheist until I came back to Christianity by choice. So that doesn't explain this for me specifically. And for you, I could just make the argument, well, I guess I'll just ask, are your parents Christian or are they secular? And you were raised Catholic. Right, so if you can rebel against your culture, why can't anyone else? And to Ahmed, who is a follower of God, if he wants to read the Quran and proclaim that it's the truth, I would encourage him to follow God and where God leads him, which I believe genuinely will not be the Quran. So there's also this, like, that doesn't work against just religious people because we have secular societies now. So secular people are also born in to secular families. So I could just say the exact same thing if you want to use that as an argument. Do you have a visual aid, Em, for your...
I do have a visual aid, and I also have a comment for American M's last question right now.
Yeah, let's hear it.
They ask, do you believe a infinite punishment like hell is justified for not being able to force yourself to believe something? Honest question, just something I've thought about. Let me tell you something. I have thought about it since I was a very, very, very small child.
Yeah.
A very small child. The thing about me is that throughout much of my life, not just as a child, even as an adult, I tried very hard to be a Christian and to be religious and to believe it and to have that thing in common with my parents who both very fervently believed it. And I urgently and fervently wanted to believe it. And even as a small child, I never could because my thinking is very logic based and it just was always a thing of like, but you always tell me two opposite things about this thing, and I can't believe in something that is so contradictory to itself. And I would try to get an answer for which one was the thing, because it would be like one thing presented, then another thing presented opposite. Yeah. And I go, well, is it this or that? And they'd be like, you don't need to ask these questions. You just have to believe. And I would be like, I'm trying to believe. And like, I would literally sit there and cry in my bed at night and be like, please, God, if you're there, like, do you know I'm trying to believe? Like, I'd be so scared and upset. And I was telling Reese, like, I was told to accept Jesus in my heart, my sins forgiven. But then it's like, are they only the sins forgiven that I did before I accepted him? Do I have to keep accepting him every single time I sin? Because then I'm doing nothing but sinning and accepting Jesus the rest of my life every 2 minutes. Yeah. So like, it was a nightmare for me. And even up until like 2016, when I finally eschewed all shreds of it, I tried and I could not. And so I understand what you're saying. And I also say that I don't think that an infinite punishment of some sort like that is appropriate for the choices or actions or whatever of a creature that supposedly the thing that damns you to the eternal damnation is also the thing that created you as such a being that might not be able to swallow that information, and knowing that some would be like sent to hell. And for me, from my understanding of things, I'm like, I just don't think that would be the way it would be, because then it's just like a game. It's like mean or something.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think what we have to remember is that fundamentally God is love, right? So whatever this game is, if it is one, it's not, I mean, I don't think, but whatever it is, whatever that system is of hell and heaven, whatever, it will end up in the maximally loving way. And the one thing that implies, that if God really loves people, he has to give them choices and responsibilities. Because otherwise, if he just created us and chained us to his radiator, that wouldn't exactly be love, would it? Or like if you had a partner that forced you to be with them, that wouldn't be love, would it?
No, I mean, I've heard, listen, Reese.
Yeah. You know that.
What Reese doesn't know is he's looking me in the eyes and asking me these questions, and he is channeling like 3 different youth pastors that have said the same thing to me, like in like 1988.
I know.
So I mean,
you know that whole thing.
That's the thing is like, okay, so if you just choose that, not to love him, I'm just saying that like, yeah, the opposite implication, is that God itself. Had the choice whether or not to set up a system in which any of his creation had to be forever damned.
Yeah, but I just also don't know what forever means.
I don't either, but that's what it says. Because if it just means the entire expanse of time. It says it's an eternity separated from God, which is supposed to be the worst, most horrible thing.
But what if that's just like an atheist death? What if it's just like deletion? What if it's nothing? Like, if that's what you want.
Well, then why do people describe it as a hell with burning?
Because for the really bad people, I would hope there is a period of burning
but
and
see,
hell.
then you're getting back into that territory of like,
but it wouldn't be for the little
bad?
girl.
Is an infant born bad? No. Then how can a person be bad?
I'm talking about Hitler.
The infant is still inside. Hitler's not bad. He's just a guy.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm serious.
You know he's bad.
No, he is a child of God.
Yeah.
You can't have one and then the other. Like, it's either unconditional love or
Satan
it's not.
himself is a child of God. So, like, I mean, as a creation of God is supposed to be a reflection of him. So it's like,
right.
One of those things is having free will. So you use free will to choose to do something bad. I'm not saying like Adolf Hitler is like ontologically bad.
I'm
like
not
he was born
up for Hitler, okay?
bad. No, and I know that. Of course, I don't think anyone's going to accuse you of that. This is a philosophical conversation, not a like. We're not talking about like German politics in the 1940s.
Right.
Ontologically, I agree. There's nothing like he wasn't born like to be Hitler. I think he made deliberate and evil choices for which he should be punished. Don't you? Or no? Maybe not. I mean, if you don't, that's one thing, and that is ultimately you wouldn't be alone.
Well, I will.
That's what Infamous believes as well, and anyone that denies free will believes that he has not done anything bad. He had no choice. If you deny free will, then Hitler is the same cog that was necessary for the universe to chug away like this as anybody else, including Gandhi. That's right. So that's the downstream.
Well, Gandhi ain't no saint either.
Well, I know. I just say that, but you're right. I mean, I think Gandhi had some problems as well.
Gandhi lied naked.
Yeah, I remember that. That's
and
crazy.
So, I mean, this is what I'm trying to say. Like,
yeah,
everyone's a sinner. So then it comes down to the thing of like, just like how it's in the Bible, where it's like one sin equal to another. There's no like little white lies. Like a lie is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got that, then you can't really separate out and go, some should go to hell and some shouldn't. Because then it's like, everyone is a sinner, everybody goes to hell, or everybody's forgiven, they all go to heaven.
Oh, you want to see a crazy clip on that front? You can keep talking.
Okay, but I have my visual aid.
Oh, visual aid. Yeah. Well,
thank you so much. Okay, so first of all, I would like to share with the chat. This is a blurry photo that I had printed out from a photo that my mom sent me that was a picture of a book that this was in. Nice. So this is like 5 steps removed from the actual photo. But that is me and my mom and dad and my baby brother.
Wow.
In our church. This is in the church family directory.
Wow.
I'm literally like 2 years old right there.
Wow, look at that.
It's very blurry.
The David Allyn family.
David
Allyn Co. That's awesome.
Look how cute they are.
That is so cool.
My mom and dad are so cute. Oh my god. And this is like 1975.
Cool. Oh, yeah, this is you now. Flash forward to now.
In 1973, for those who aren't American or old, let me put you on game, as we like to say.
Yeah.
A little television program came out in the U.S. called Kojak. Now, this was the story of Lieutenant Theodophilus Kojak.
That was his name, Theodophilus?
Theodophilus. Played by Mr.
Lover of Wisdom.
Telly Savalas. And that's right, yes. Telly Savalas.
Where's that Theo?
And this show was about Lieutenant Theo Kojak, a lieutenant homicide detective in the NYPD, Manhattan South District, 73 to 78, okay? This man saved my life in February 2025 because while I was convalescing from a very serious health problem, which also involved me being hospitalized and other bad things in my life, I binge watched that show. And so now, a guiding force that I'm using for myself is the character of Theodophilus Kojak.
Hell yeah.
I am modeling my new persona and outward affect after the man.
Show the man, Em. Show the man.
And I brought some different, various fun. There he is. Look, he's got money in his hand.
Yeah.
Now you want to emulate somebody? Emulate that guy.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, hey, what? Cover of TV Guide, honey.
Oh yeah.
What's up?
A big year for.
You cannot deny him.
This is Em.
Oh, look at the tood. Look at the. I can do this tood. Look at me. Okay, listen, there's more.
He's got tood.
All right,
this guy's got tood.
This is on my wall, 11 by 14, kids.
Holy.
Okay, look when he smiles. Oh, the world lights up. Oh, he's a singer, a pop sensation.
That's so funny.
Okay,
I can't
look,
believe it.
He's a serious detective.
Did you print
and
all these
he
out? Where did you
wears
get all
a
these?
fitted suit vest. That's why his posture is excellent.
Oh, he does have great posture.
Look at him.
Look at this.
This is a headshot.
This is one of the most powerful glares I've ever.
Okay, these last three, I'm going to warn you now. Those who...
Ladies in the chat.
Those who are easily swayed
seduced
by the carnal influence,
seduced.
as we used to say in the church, maybe close your eyes because the magnetism is undeniable in these next three photos. Look at this man. Look at this man. Look at this man.
Oh, yeah, that's Kojak right there.
What? Come on.
It's kind of blurry. Whatever. Okay, do the next one.
Here's my smiling
Oh,
man.
yeah.
He's in his...
Look at that.
He is in his...
Wow.
Convertible Rolls Royce right there.
It looks like he... This looks like he is wearing, like, some kind of clay mask on the top.
Yeah, but it's just his head.
Oh, wow. Kojak, baby. That guy's cool.
Last one. This one is... If you kept your eyes open for the other two, just final warning. This one's going to...
This is your final warning. This is your final warning.
Your mouth will start to water.
Wait, let me put it in 18 only.
It doesn't matter what your sexuality is. This man's magnetic charisma.
Yeah.
Even he's been dead 35 years, it doesn't matter.
35.
Check this man out. Dun 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 dun. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. What? Look at that. Wood. So I am working on.
So that's what that is Em's. That's sort of how you're modeling your whole life right now.
I'm the lady Kojak 2025.
The lady Kojak 2025. And I'm into it. I'm supportive of that.
I'm bringing the Kojak energy to the new millennium.
Totally. I'm 100% supportive of that.
And the amazing part is that
in favor.
At this time, I am the exact same age that Telly Savalas was when he took the mantle of Kojak.
Really? When he took... That is so funny. When he took the mantle.
Premiered,
Wait, yeah, you said you decided to do this, and then you learned that that you were the same age afterwards.
Yes.
The exact same age?
Exact same. Like.
How does that not make anyone believe in God?
Well, personally, I've been talking it up to my dad.
Oh, yeah, that's good, but that's the same thing. Yeah, that's awesome. So, wow, I can't wait.
Because he always supported my career.
Yeah, I'm a big supporter of Em's career as well.
And now that he is, another theory that I have. This actually, if I was to really name my theology.
Yeah. What would it be?
It's one I've come up with just since going on the Kojak energy, which is that when you die. Mm-hmm. You become a ghost, and you become part of the ghost layer. Oh, yeah. Which lies above the ozone layer, encircling the Earth.
Okay, I like that.
And what you do up there is you are fighting with alien ghosts to protect the Earth from them.
I do like that.
Because they have power. They're alien ghosts.
They're alien ghosts. They're more powerful than normal ghosts. They have so many
powers we could never imagine.
But we have the power of love.
But the thing is that, so... That's why whenever people have, like, time skips or they're like, I was abducted, it's when some of them ghosts broke through the front lines and got down here.
Oh, that's what you
That's why they can never find those bodies. And that's why Alien Autopsy in 94 was a bust on the TV show. They were like, Alien Autopsy, and then it was just stupid.
Then there was not a single one.
It was, like, just fuzzy, grainy footage.
Oh, that
But
sucks.
they built it up. It was like, Al Capone's vault. Like,
oh, my God. They're always talking shit about the aliens. I don't even know. Now it's a bigger conspiracy to think that they're not real than to think they're real. But the
thing is that
my conspiracy, I think they're demons.
They are real, but they're space ghosts. They're alien ghosts. They're ghosts from other planets. That's actually
pretty close to what I believe.
Which is what space is filled with. Like, actually, we think space is empty between planets. No, it's filled with alien ghosts.
That makes
and
sense.
They're all trying to get in here.
Yeah.
And so,
that makes sense.
When you die, you go up there, you start to fight. Guess what?
What?
That never ends because there's no time in space, so there's never like, okay, time out, we're gonna have our break. They're constantly fighting. Plus, they're all already dead, so nobody ever wins. It's like in Pirates of the Caribbean when they're like fighting those ghost guys. They can't win.
Oh yeah.
And so that's why people always want you to remember them after they die, because when people on Earth remember the dead, it brings them closer to Earth for a sec. And that's like when you get furlough or like shore leave as a soldier. Like it's like you get to leave the front lines.
Yeah.
And so like whenever we remember the dead, we're like giving them a little break.
We're
from
giving
the
them a
space
rest.
war.
Oh, that's why they love the Day of the Dead, Halloween.
Right? 100. Yes, big time, because they're like, oh,
But because the good ghosts are resting, do you think the bad ghosts come out on Halloween and cause mayhem?
No, those are all people. Those are just living.
Those are just the people.
That's just living people.
Some ghosts are pranksters. Others are not. And that is the thing about ghosts. Is like, I do believe in them. First of all,
well, you know what? Yeah, if
100%
there's
real.
ghosts that are haunting people on Earth, it's people who went AWOL from the war. Yeah. I guess they're basically like
they went
soldiers
AWOL
who broke away
from the war.
Like AWOL.
Remember,
but you know, yeah, that's why. You know what? You know who's never fought a day in the space war?
Yeah.
Mozart.
Mozart never fought.
Somebody across the globe is talking or thinking about Mozart 24/7. That guy has never even picked up a weapon.
That's true.
Not fight.
That's a good point.
But you know what? He gave us that music, so I'm not.
But isn't the weird thing about like hauntings, which I do believe happen, like the ghosts are always just kind of like annoying. They can never like kill anybody or do anything, but they just like make shit move. You know what I mean? Like, what is up with that?
I think personally that's not actually ghosts. I think that's like when like the two different like parallel dimensions are kind of like
you think
something, like you turned and you thought you saw something in the corner of your eye moving, and then like something seemed like it wasn't right now.
Yeah.
And the like scenery was a little.
Is that what you think of
like
deja vu? Deja vu is like a dimensional glitch.
Well, I think deja vu is like. I think deja vu is a complicated thing wherein a lot of your nighttime dreams are actually prophecy of what your future life might entail somehow.
Oh, I had
and
a
so then
dream.
When you have deja vu, it's really you're remembering the dream you had about that thing.
Yeah.
I think.
You want to hear a crazy dream I had? Like a crazy, like, spiritual one? This is actually kind of relevant. I don't know if I was going to say it, but now I guess I will. It's kind of weird at first, but I'm not trying to be weird at all, and it is just 100% true. So I had this dream that I was at this like kind of like hip like Hollywood party type thing, just like a nice-ish house. Had this dream probably like 2 weeks ago, and there's like a group of like 9 people, and they're all sitting in these like kind of like Art Deco like modern like 80s couches,
rooftop.
Like sunk into the ground, like couches.
Up on the rooftop.
Yeah, it was inside, but yeah, rooftop energy, like maybe a little fire pit or something. And I'm just gonna be quick about this part, but graphically, I am having sex with a woman while they all watch, right?
Like you're at one of those buildings.
Dude, it seemed like a vision of like
you're
a
up
fucking
in NorCal.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I was saying, the people were Gavin Newsom, Bill Clinton. No, I'm kidding. I couldn't tell who any of the people were, but Tom Hanks definitely 100% Tom Hanks.
And for some reason we don't understand.
Yeah.
The Rock.
The Rock. Yeah. No, he definitely is hanging out at those things. So anyway, then
I don't understand.
Then what happens? And I'm really not trying to be graphic. This is just in the dream. So there's a point where, like, if you can imagine, she's like up against the wall, and then she has her arms out like this, right? Like both my arms out. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, like in the dream, I have like no control of the whole dream. It's one of those. Like I don't know I'm dreaming. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't particularly want anything in particular. Yeah, it wasn't really a lucid dream. But I became really lucid like way too well, more than I'd ever remember in dreams, because I became lucid, and I said, "Don't mock Christ like that." And then she immediately, her face from being like sort of seductress, like whatever,
turned into a succubus.
She got really scared for a second, and then she like clamped her arms down, and then she went into the corner, and she started scratching and attacking one of the guests that was in the corner, another woman that was just there that I hadn't really noticed. And then I got really like freaked out. I was like, what is going on? And I went to the kitchen to like grab something to like try to like defend myself or whatever. And then she started walking towards me, and her face was like this demon, like black eyes, like demon teeth. Succubus shit in the dream. Then I woke up, and I started praying next to my bed. And you know what it is? I stopped watching porn. I like officially stopped.
It's your night terrors.
Yeah. Well, the demons trying to come get me.
Yeah.
But anyway, isn't that a crazy dream? Isn't that fucking crazy? And I remember every single little detail of it. Okay, we got some chat in the...
Yeah, people have been saying a lot.
Okay, love both of you all. Truly help me answer and ask more questions. Love an American. We love having you in the chat.
We love everyone.
Yeah.
I do. I honestly... You know what? What happened in 2020 was I finally figured out that I was no longer mad at pancakes. And pancakes was my longest held beef.
Oh my god!
And so when I was like, I'm free from this, like if I'm not mad at pancakes, I'm not mad at anybody.
That's hysterical.
And I always remind myself of that when I start feeling angry. I go, oh wait, I'm not mad at anybody.
That's fucking hysterical.
Thank you. It's true. It is the truth. It is the truth.
Pancake. Why were you mad at pancakes?
Oh.
Okay. All right, it's a long story. Hold on, let's read.
It's not a long story.
Oh, it's not?
It's just about poverty.
Oh, because you never got to have them?
No, it was periods
all you
of
had.
time when all there was in the house was like a big box of biscuit. And my mom would serve us pancakes, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for like a week.
I'm sorry.
And I'd be like, I will vomit if I eat another pancake. And I didn't eat pancakes for decades.
I wouldn't either. That's horrible.
But then...
That's horrible.
Like I say, during pandemic, I was alone all the time. And I was like... trying to make peace with a lot of stuff in my heart, and I was like, all of a sudden one day I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Those pancakes, which I saw as like a sign of deprivation, were actually my mom feeding me.
Whoa.
It was my mom feeding me what she had to feed me.
So now you're a little less like...
and was I'm not mad at you anymore, pancakes.
Yeah.
You were just a sign of my mother's love, you know? And I was like, I'm fine now.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you gave up your...
It got rid of a lot of bitterness that was in me about a lot of things.
Because really, towards your mom was probably what you were bitter towards. Or just poverty in general.
It was kind of it was more towards... It was kind of more towards my dad, actually.
Your dad, right, for putting you in that.
Yeah, had my dad not,
there would have been money for things like
we would have had a different economic outlook.
Yeah. That makes sense. So it's more towards your dad. Okay,
but it wasn't even that. It was really pancakes.
It was really the pancakes.
Hey, I'm very good at transferring my anger from the living being.
From the living to the pancake. That's very good. Let's offer it up on the altar.
Or to the city of Chicago.
Or are you still working on forgiving them?
I'm not mad at them anymore, but I don't want to go there either.
Vujade. Vujade is the feeling that I know I have never been here before. I have that all the time.
I sometimes wake up and look at my body and go,
what Vujade. Okay, American said, I have a serious dream I had twice when I was younger. No joke, I was in a hallway and a demon started chasing me and my reality and visions started distorting. And I prayed for Jesus and he appeared and saved me and he was in white robes and his face was just blinding light. This was a serious dream that I had twice, which has always stuck with me. This was the feeling of light and love. No joke. I'll never forget my reality being distorted. It was so scary. Well, American, there you go. As soon as I prayed in the dream, Jesus appeared and I woke up. Like, he took me out of the danger. No joke. One of my craziest experiences. And that's exactly, I know that feeling of waking up and him taking you out of the danger because that's exactly what I felt in my dream. But listen, remember what we talked about? And if you have still yet another story, then that's even better. But you were saying, why has God never reached down and confirmed my, confirmed his existence to me, or like shown me, like, why are other people so special they get to see a vision and I don't? That sounds like a pretty significant vision. So it's also what you pay attention to. So if you just write that off and say, oh, well, that's probably random and meaningless and whatever, then of course you'll never see anything he ever sends you. But if it's genuine, then maybe he is really trying to reach you and bring you back. But
I have two things.
Yeah.
One, can you tell whether Jackson Wanless is still here?
By God is forcing us because we were punished for not following his rules. That doesn't sound like love. It
right.
Sounds like
Thank you, Jackson, but that's not the one I'm talking about.
Oh, don't talk shit about NorCal.
I didn't say anything. I just said, oh, in your dream you were up at one of those events in NorCal. We all know what events I'm talking about. They're out in the woods. It's the same people that go to the particle collider in Sweden. Which, remember,
which doesn't exist.
Real,
so
that's
it's really
that's
in
where
South
the particle
Dakota.
collider
the
is.
Particle, the Sweden.
They put you through it. Maybe that's how you think you went. Maybe when you think you're on the plane, you're going through particle collider.
A particle collider.
Now they're like,
in
you're
Sweden.
in Europe.
Whenever you go to Europe, you're getting uploaded onto a computer and you're playing like a Sims.
You know all those memories you have.
Yeah, the memories of
walking down the lane.
Remember Weihnachtsmarkt? That was designed by Jeffrey Epstein in a computer.
Do those things. No, but the other thing is I do want to say this. The only thing I ever say about NorCal is it's so different. And the first time the only time I ever was in NorCal, I went up there for a comedy festival like 10 years ago. And I still had Facebook then, and I was like, I came back and I go, wow, you guys, NorCal is so different. And this other guy was like, how different? And I go, so different. And that's all I can say. I mean, that's still to this day, that's all I can say.
Yeah, it is so different. It is like a totally different place. Environment-wise, energy probably. Energy
so
is probably.
I mean, the thing is that like on the East Coast, the seaboard has like about 10 or 12 states.
Yeah.
And on the West Coast, it's 3 states, and 2 of them are pretty tiny.
Yeah. So it's
all
California.
It takes 100 years to get all the way from the bottom to the top of California.
I know, it's crazy.
Literally, even in a vehicle.
It takes 100 years.
100 years.
A single, an
and
entire
I went
century.
And came back and posted on Facebook about it.
Damn, you look good for 300. You can look good for 250 or whatever.
I'm getting on.
Yeah.
It's starting to show.
That's hysterious.
But yeah, no, I'm not talking crap about NorCal. I am talking crap about those events, though, because that's terrifying to me. Because when you were describing your dream, I was thinking about something that happened a year ago.
Oh, yeah?
Not a dream, but like, there was this movie that was called Late Night with the Devil or something like that.
Oh, shit.
And
he loves those movies, that damn devil.
Well, the thing is this. My roommate, because me and my roommates, we have movie night pretty regularly.
Yeah.
And now we have Sunday night TV every Sunday night.
That's
We'll
good.
watch series, like one epi at a time. We have 3 series we watching at one time.
Sweet.
Like one epi each Sunday.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's movie night. And the movie that they chose was this Late Night with the Devil movie. But they sent me an email and were like, we're going to watch this movie. It's a story about how Leno stole Late Night from Letterman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And they were like, yeah, I guess it gets a little bit dicey.
They're calling him
and these guys, my roommates, told me that. So I thought the movie was about that. Because there's been a lot of dramatizations of that whole series of events because Leno is a monster.
Yeah.
But we're watching it and I'm going... Because the way it's shot, it's supposed to be like found footage, even though it's definitely not, because there's a lot of like zooming in and stuff that wouldn't have been on a found footage.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of verisimilitude on that.
It's like that Blair Witch Project or something.
Yeah, but like way more highly produced. And so, but it's the idea that like this is the only these are the recordings of. Oh, that's probably my phone.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It's chilling.
Copyright infringement. Do I dress for every situation? So anyways, so we're watching this movie and it's like 25 minutes in or something.
Yeah.
It's this whole plot line about this guy and his wife and stuff. And like, he's like a late night talk show guy, but like it's a fake. I never heard of this talk show. Like, I'm like, finally I go, when does Letterman and what is this?
Yeah, what is this?
And those guys were like, oh no, we were joking. This isn't about that.
Oh, that's
They were
funny.
just making a pun on the fact it was called Late Night with the Devil, and they were like, that's Jay Leno.
That's funny.
But the thing is that then I still kept watching it.
Yeah.
But this show ended up being a thing of where the show host guy, had went to one of those event things where there's a lot of
like a Diddy party.
They wear those hat costumes
eyes
with
wide
devil
shut.
horns on
the
them and
eyes wide
stuff,
shut
and
parties.
just insane
It's
stuff.
crazy. I went to one of these houses recently.
And so the thing is that earlier in his career,
yeah.
he had went to one of those things, and he had promised and made a bunch of oaths and things that he would do anything or let them do anything if he could have success as a talk show host.
Wow.
So this night, and then later his wife dies of cancer.
Whoa.
And it turns out the reason she got the cancer was because those guys were like, well, you wanted to have fame, so the price is she dies.
Oh,
and
my God.
And so the whole show is this demon keeps appearing because one of the guests on the show is this lady who does exorcisms or something. I don't even know.
Yeah, whatever.
I blocked a lot of it out.
Like a haunted lady.
Because the thing is, they kept having these scenes with these demons and stuff. And then when it got to the Bilderberg thing and the NorCal thing and whatever, because it was floating, he was he was having flashbacks and they were going ha 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 like that, in your dream,
yeah.
And at one point, I went in the kitchen and I was like, you will leave this house.
Did you do an exorcism?
I was like, in the name of Jesus, you will leave this house. I was saying that about the movie. I was I did not invite you to this house. I wasn't watching it knowing it would be like that. I thought it was literally about something way else. And so I was like, I felt like I shouldn't even be watching. I was so, because I don't watch horror anyways. I don't like creepy, gory stuff like that. I just never have.
I don't really like it either. It's just boring.
Well, and I was raised so religious, I wasn't allowed to watch any of that. And then I would sometimes accidentally watch horror movies at friend houses. And I was so unprepared. And I couldn't even talk to my parents about it because I wasn't supposed to. I was supposed to do that thing that you said about standing up I'm for Jesus, I won't watch this. My parents
would have
say
that?
Well, you didn't quite say it, but you said something about in the end times, allowing them to put the sword in you because you won't accept the mark of the beast.
Right.
But my parents would have wanted me to tell my friends you guys shouldn't watch this and I'm not gonna watch it and just go wait in the other room or something while they watch me. Oh, I'm really gonna do that. I was already socially awkward, parents. I'm not. So then I watch it, but then I have no recourse. I have
you have nothing to talk to.
I can't go to anyone. It was my first French kiss. I didn't know there was such a thing as French kissing, and my friends were like, "Oh, this one carny at the fair will let you have a free ride on the Tilt-A-Whirl if you let him kiss you."
No fucking way.
And
Are you
like,
serious?
"Okay, yes." And we went there, and we go to the guy our friends told us we could.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and so he goes, "Get on the ride," and we did the ride. And then when you get off the ride, you're behind where the people in line can't see you. You're in this little enclosed area. So it was me and my two friends. This guy, he pecks my one friend on the cheek, pecks my other friend on the cheek, takes me, dips me back, full deep tongue kisses 11-year-old me for what seemed like 4 years.
Oh.
And I didn't even know people use tongue to kiss because I was raised so religious. I was like, what is this?
That's not a religious thing. You were 11. You're not supposed to know that.
But I mean, I think kids nowadays know that tongues are used for kissing because they see a lot of stuff. But back then we didn't, and especially not me. And so,
that's wild.
He pulled me back up, and I was like,
"What the fuck?"
Completely fucked up, and it's part of my French.
Yeah.
And then he looked at me and winked and goes, "If you want another free ride, come on back anytime." Just at me, not my friends. And then the worst, my friend was mad at me. She's like, I thought he was cute, and he didn't want to kiss me. He goes, and I was like, believe me, you didn't want that to happen. It was such a freak show. He used his tongue. What?
Yeah, that's horrible.
I don't know what he was even doing.
That's fucking
And
horrible.
The worst part is years later, a psychiatrist was like, well, did you go to your parents? Because that was a crime.
But you didn't know as a kid.
He was obviously above 18, and you were 11. Did you go to your parents? I go, no, because I would have been the one in trouble for whoring myself out like that. You know what I mean? There was a ton of things like that where whatever I did that was slightly not what I'm supposed to, and then a bad consequence.
Yeah.
And then instead of feeling that I could go to my parents and be like, I'm gonna talk to Jesus about this now, and like try to like get to the next moment where I feel better about it.
You were more ashamed.
I was just like even more like, you're just living a lie. You know, I would tell myself. I mean, the amount of journal pages I wrote where I was like, you're a very bad person. Oh. I don't know why you live. Like, I mean, even when I was like 7. Yeah. I mean, this is what I say.
Yeah, that's the dark side. That's who he'll go to and say, I never knew you. When they preach that type of like shame and hatred for self. This is why
I say, I just think that religion should be something that you choose once you're an adult.
Yeah, I think that's
and you're not put under pressure to choose the same one your parents had.
Right.
And you're not put under any kind of pressure at all. You come to it, you choose it, you choose no religion, that's also fine.
Yeah.
I really think that it should be considered at least neglectful and pretty much abusive to inflict any particular religious thing on to small children, children under 10.
Yeah.
Because they can't understand the concepts.
Yeah, I mean, just don't be psycho about it. Like,
and
there's
so
gotta,
many
but
things
you also
in the way that it's
teach
taught
your child
to kids are so black and white.
Yeah.
Even though the true text has more subtlety, they don't present it to children with any subtlety. Because, I mean, I guess they think kids don't need the subtlety, but for me at least, had I been given more subtlety to it, I wouldn't have interpreted as...
Yeah.
You're automatically going to hell and good luck because you're a bad person for XYZ reasons.
Right.
And the reasons are basically like, I lost my purse.
Right.
And I'm 5. What was in the purse?
Yeah.
A chapstick and a rock that I found that was pretty. And I'm crying. I can't tell my mom I lost my purse.
Oh, wow.
So this is, you know.
So that's what I'm against that religion too.
Right.
Whatever that religion is, that's not what I worship.
Is that like,
you know,
the danger you run with any religious teaching to children is that because of the profundity of the matter at hand, the child is going to get a lot of it wrong.
Yeah.
And most children take that information internally and say it's their fault they can't understand it, or it's their fault, like American M was saying earlier, they can't believe it. They want to, they can't. It's like I said, I took Jesus into my heart so many times, and then I would cry at night being like, I hope you're in there, Jesus. I don't know how I'm going to know if you're there or not. I think I want you there, but I don't even know what it means.
Yeah, because they didn't teach you the love part. Because all that stuff without the love,
well, they did teach me a lot about the love,
but not if they were making you that. 70s. If they were making you that afraid.
Because it was the 70s, and that was when it was love Jesus. That was hippie love Jesus.
Hippie love Jesus.
Jesus freak times.
Yeah,
those were actually. That made it easier to be a religious kid back then, because religion was more. Like most people had religion. I mean, when I was a little kid, this is the thing. When I was a small child, up until I was probably about 7 or 8 years old, most businesses in America were closed on Sunday.
Yeah,
stores were closed.
That's a good point. A lot of things
restaurants
were closed.
Were closed.
Nothing in LA is more active on a Sunday than anything.
Every place is now. I mean, malls are open everywhere.
Depends on where you go, but yeah, it's true.
But. Yeah, nothing was open because the idea was it was truly a day of rest. And, like, most people, that's why they mostly went to church on Sunday, because this is the main thing that you could do.
Yeah.
And a place to go see your friends. And then a lot of times, like, our families would... Oops, there's my mom. Hold up. It's like... You'd go over, like, one family go to another family's house for lunch and dinner, or, like, we would go to the lake, have a picnic, the whole church.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, like, just relax and kind of, like, be together and have a nice time and not have the thing of, like, somebody has to go to work or that you have to go take part in, like, materialism. It was kind of a thing of, like, commerce shouldn't... It's kind of how, like, Jewish people don't even really use their phone or anything.
The Sabbath is super, strict.
Right, and seeing... America used to have it that way kind of more for Sundays, like, just as a group, because Americans were more universally, like, some form of Christians.
Totally.
Not all, obviously, but, like, enough to where the structures of society was, like, everybody kind of tacitly agreed.
This was, like, a Christian nation for a long time, until probably, like, what, the 80s, 90s?
I mean,
why did this like commercialization of Sunday happen? That's probably a good marker for when the country became more so secular than Christian. Even if everyone is still saying, "Oh, I'm a Christian. Oh, I go to church, this or that," but the nation became secular.
Well, my mom will tell you.
9/11.
Could
be 9/11.
When this great nation fell to the beast.
Oh yeah, what was that? What was that?
Was in like about 88, maybe 89.
Okay.
When the Hanes Clothing, particularly Underwear Corporation, began putting TV ads with people in their undies on the ads. Because prior to that,
things had to be sort of like
underwear was not advertised in that way.
Right,
the underwear would be there, but
just like
disembodied from a
pile
human.
of it or something.
Or in the case of Fruit of the Loom, much more delightfully, a bunch of grown men would be dressed as different types of fruit. One was grapes.
Right.
And that was delightful.
That was delightful.
And then later,
I missed those.
And then after that, it's like you're seeing men in their tighty whities on the TV. And it's only 7 p.m., man. I don't need to see this.
Well, also, it's like you got kids or something. And
this is what I'm saying. And it's like, well, it's just ads for underwear.
No,
and it's like,
it's
nothing different than a bathing suit is what they say. But
also, why are women, why is that a thing? Why are bikinis a thing?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to shame people for their bodies.
I'm not shaming anybody.
I'm absolutely not. Because that's part of my religious problem. I hate my body because the body is seen as the source of all the sin.
But I'm saying that is a male-oriented... Isn't that a male-oriented... Like, the bikini, doesn't that seem like it only benefits, like, the patriarchy to, like...
No, because women, if they can have a top and a bottom for their bathing suit, they don't have to get full naked to go to the bathroom when they're at the beach.
Okay.
You're wearing a one piece, you got to take the whole thing off.
That's fair, yeah.
Having to pull them down is nice.
Okay.
It's equality.
All right.
But my point is, what my mom said is that, like, a swimsuit might be designed the same as a bikini.
Yeah.
Or as like a bra and undies. But it's not. It's a swimsuit. But those are underwear.
Yeah.
And underwear is not supposed to be everybody look at it.
Yeah.
It's under.
Yeah.
And that's what she said is the implication is like, nothing's under anymore. Like, oh, wink, wink. Like, which, I mean, in 1918 or something, they came out with that song called Anything Goes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's
a sexual song?
Like, no, it's not at all a sexual song. But it kind of is. But it's that concept of, like, we used to have a country, you know. But this was a long time ago.
People have been saying that since Rome, since ancient Rome.
When the waltz came out, parents were like, "These kids are dancing
These damn
too close
demonic
together
kids are touching each other when they dance."
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. Yeah,
so, like,
that's true.
You know,
that's true.
But yeah, my mom literally boycotted Hanes and wrote them a letter, and me and my friend used to laugh at her. We'd be like, "Oh, fighting the good fight, Mary," but then like now, after like however many years, 40 years or whatever, I'm like. She kind of had a point.
Yeah, well, that's the one thing, because it's like, if there is a point where it's silly and stuff, where it's like, okay, maybe even the underwear thing isn't that serious, or definitely not the waltz or something like that. But once we get to
everyday titillation,
the OnlyFans thing, I think it might actually go too far. Like, what do you think about that? Like, I don't think it's empowering to be like an OnlyFans person. I don't know what you think about that, but maybe it is.
Well, I just think that, like, anything where how you're relating to other people is strictly as
like an
a set of physical parts.
Yeah, like an object, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Whether it's the man or the woman.
Yeah,
I mean, because
either one. I don't
there's many of women who objectify men.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, there's a lot of racism involved in some of that.
Yeah.
And there is on men's part too, but for different races and things.
For sure.
But it's definitely a thing of like, well, I like me a this type of man.
Yes,
and it's like, okay, gross.
Yeah, great.
And I think it's that thing of like all the different ways that we have where people can. I mean, I think one of the biggest problems in the 21st century is that people will almost immediately develop physical intimacy with someone who they don't know at all.
I know. I'm not doing that. I refuse to do that.
And so then, how do you get to know someone when you already...
You skipped so many steps in the process already.
Well, it's not necessarily steps in the process, but it's that thing of like, you can't go back and see that person with fresh, clean eyes anymore.
Right.
Because now you've already slept with them or whatever
and
you've
you're
done
totally
with them.
entangled energetically and
well,
sexually.
You might or might not be, but regardless, if you see that person more and you start to realize that you don't like them or they're not the kind of person you want to be around,
it's too hard.
You're going to be having trouble stopping that situation because to pull out of the situation is almost a judgment of yourself because it's like, if I would have taken my time to get to know this person first, I would have never been in that position.
Yeah.
And that happens to men and women because there's a whole, like, it's a real shorthand of like, how many times in TVs and shows and movies and books and whatever do you have like the two people waking up in bed and being like, hi, I'm Sam or whatever. And it's like, okay, I mean, I guess. Like, I'm not mad. Like, people do whatever they do.
Do what you want. I just don't think that's good for you or her or society or anybody.
Like
do what you
when
want.
You're also adding in the element of it being via screens and with the anonymity levels.
Thousands of men interacting with one single woman.
Now you're getting into a situation where there's no way this is ever going to be the development of a
society,
healthy relationship between one person and another person.
No, it's like a totally parasitical relationship, or not even. I don't even know what it is. It's kind of parasitical.
Well, it's
the OnlyFans girl, sort of in a way, like living off of the sort of lustful, pornographic desire of all these different men. It's like monetizing, like if somebody has like an addiction to alcohol, it's like if I monetize their alcohol addiction by selling them, I'll be like, oh, I'll be your alcohol guy, right?
I mean,
kinda.
No, you can't because because I mean because they would just get alcohol from someone else. That's the thing.
Yeah, but why do you have to be the person doing it?
Well, you don't. But what I'm saying is, it doesn't mean that like.
I'm not saying the men are good. I'm saying the men are weak.
I'm not.
And the women are taking advantage of them. Is what I'm saying. The men are right.
The women are not taking advantage of the men. Come on.
Okay.
Reese,
all right.
Think about it. Like really think about it.
Okay.
Like the reality is that like, if you as a man could go on the cam and have a bunch of thirsty women give you money, you probably would. Like it's not women being like, I'm going to take advantage of these stupid horny men. No,
I don't think that's their intention.
These horny men be everywhere bothering you. You might as well get money from some of them.
I completely agree. I think, I don't think the intention is rarely, if ever, malevolent from the woman. Like, she doesn't want to take advantage of anybody. But just the nature of the job is that it is profiting off of an addiction that somebody has. It's like, right?
Yeah, but then, I mean, how are you going to judge? I mean,
I'm not judging them. I'm just saying it's a tragic
situation. People who work at a bakery are taking advantage of people's sugar addiction. People who work at a tobacco company are taking advantage of that.
I understand.
So, I mean, that's not really that.
Yeah,
but what I mean is, my main thing is that what happens when you're talking about OnlyFans and other types of like... especially cam things and online things like that, is that you are commoditizing human interaction.
Yeah, maybe that's even more gross.
And that is a dangerous road to hoe because then it turns into a thing of like, well, why doesn't everybody just pay everybody to ever talk to them? You know,
right?
Like, and it's like,
and that's what it'll become. That's what it's slowly becoming.
You're not finding actual. Like, everybody's just kind of lonely. And then, like, everybody else is like, oh, everybody's lonely. How can I make money? And then it's like, it's the same as, like, everybody driving Lyft and Uber. And it's like, who has a job that's paying for these Lyft and Ubers? Because everybody just works for Lyft and Uber. It's like a snake eating its own tail.
Yeah, something like
and
that.
And I feel like porn and all that type of stuff is like that, and even to an extent, online dating.
Yeah.
Because the people
the Tinder,
I know
especially
who
Tinder,
are on online dating,
the swiping,
sites,
anything where you're swiping, I think is like.
Well, when you're looking at human beings as a commodity, I mean that's the thing, or looking at their time. I mean, everybody's time is a commodity, because if you have a job, like, you're getting money for your time, so your time is the commodity. But I mean, it's just interesting how some things are very interpersonal, but yet they can still be commercialized.
Oh yeah.
And that's also true of religion, and that's where a lot of religious crime comes from, and financial crime related to religion. And so, like, that's what I say about OnlyFans. Like, it's not a judgment of the people's sexuality or their needs or whatever they're doing on it.
Yeah.
It's just a thing of, like, you're really warping people's understanding of what it is to talk to or relate to other people.
Yes. And
that becomes problematic.
Yeah, I don't mean to judge the women or the men or anything. I'm just pointing out how dark the situation is. It's on the male side, it's male loneliness, alpha grind set, whatever's going on that makes you like love watching OnlyFans and subscribing to these women and stuff like that. That's the masculine dark side, right?
I'm gonna tell you something. Have you ever spelled the word audacity? It ends in a Y. That Y is the Y chromosome.
Yeah. There you go. And then the X chromosome, right, is the
You don't know what it is. Well, it's the X.
Yeah, it's the mystery. It's the cross. So it's just dark on both sides. It's because
I don't condone all men.
No, yes, I do. Yeah, she does.
No, I don't. But no, I wouldn't, because it's the thing of like the way that not men as a group, but men as a group, lump all women into one group.
Sure.
I don't want to turn around and just do that to men. Yeah. Like, I don't want it to be that thing of like, if women were in charge, now we would subjugate you. Because it's more like, no. Yeah. How about nobody be in charge? We're all in charge. Like, we're all, it's...
Yeah.
Now,
somebody has to be in charge.
My political philosophy is anarchy. So it comes out a lot when I talk about any of these topics, because government and commerce and religion are the three pillars of human control.
Sure.
So they're all related, and the concepts about them are related in the way that I think about each one separately.
Religion in the modern age is more like a pillar of self-control, though, because the religion has absolutely zero bearing. No religion can control you right now, unless a cult tricks you into being a Scientologist or something like that. But you have religious freedom in this country. So what... I know as a child and your parents, so I understand with the background it does. But is there like...
We better check in with... Time to check the chat!
Time to check the chat. Okay.
That's a little trope we're working on.
Yeah, we're working on like doing a soundboard, like a biological soundboard, like we do the sounds. Okay, so American thinks, where does it stop with the sexuality? OnlyFans, it breaks down, degenerates family values. I think that's probably true. The main disagreement usually comes from previous moral principles someone has adopted, like a utilitarian couldn't object to family deteriorating unless it brings unhappiness. Utilitarian ethics are hard to... I mean, that's not a good ethical system, I think, but even in that one, I think it's pretty easy to see that degrading family values does bring unhappiness. It is taking advantage of male loneliness, create a terrible concept for a healthy relationship. Mainly criticizing our utilitarian moral systems, along with others that value happiness above other things, cause most of the issues in society, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree. That at least causes the hedonistic problems. I want women and men to be happy in healthy relationships. That's something I really value about religion. Yeah, religion is, at least Christianity promotes that. And others, but it doesn't always promote. It's not always put into practice. It's very hard to put into practice, but I like to think more about what the ideal is. And then David says, what is the difference between a cult and a religion? A religion has more members. little funny quip. Do you think David should come out to the West Side and try out, do a little stand up, or do you think that one's gonna fall flat?
No, I think that would probably hit pretty
hard.
That
would hit
Santa
hard.
Monica.
Yeah.
I actually did talk about something about that recently.
Oh, did you? Go, shoot, fire.
Well, I was just saying, like, most things that Christians, like people in the Christian religion will say as a cult are things that originally started off based off the Christian religion.
Yeah.
And then, like, just made their own thing. But, like, a lot of it is still based off the Christian religion. And so, like, I was like, wait, so the fruit is poison? The fruit of the tree... The tree's not poison, but the fruit is... Like these came out from that. But, like, that is solid. But, like, these things that outcrop from it, wrong, terrible,
but yeah, of course.
False.
Christ says that himself.
Right, I know, but, he like, that's the whole thing is, like...
If the fruit is separated from the vine, it'll wither and die. And that's what cults do. And he's the vine. You know what I mean?
I mean...
Okay, well, America says, well, Christianity started as a cult in Rome.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
100%,
that's what I'm trying to say, is, like, any belief system starts off as a cult because it's a cult of personality of whoever's writing that belief system and sharing it. And so, like, you could say, like, even, like, Tony Robbins has a cult because there's plenty of people who will much more readily take the advice and counsel of Tony Robbins than any other thought leader.
That's true.
And so even though they're not like, I worship Tony Robbins, it kind of is like that because he's guiding their lifestyle. He's telling them what to think and they're thinking it. And this is not anti or pro Tony.
Yeah.
He's terrifying. But every time I hear him speak or go to one of his webinars, every single time there's something different that I get from it that's valuable to me.
Would you connect it to now?
Sorry.
But you have to go through a whole lot of, like, his terrifying presence. Because he's so, like, big and loud, and his face is big.
Look at these.
And he gets all crazed on there, because he's like, ho, like, he does, like, intense breathing. Oh, yeah, no. He always talks about how much money he gives to the hungry, but, like, he also still has tons of money. Like, so much money. Like, he goes helicopter surfing in Australia.
Yeah.
And he was talking on an interview, and he's like, the other surfers hate it. I'm like, I bet. They're in the water. You're coming down with a helicopter. You ever had a helicopter anywhere near you? It's a nightmare.
That's a funny point. Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah.
But he thinks he's a man of the people, though. That's what's so insane about him to me. But I'm not even mad at him because I have received so many good pieces of wisdom from him and bits of counsel. But the thing is that whenever I watch his things, I always know that, like, out of, like, 6 hours of his webinar, there'd be, like, 8 minutes that are, like, just gold for me.
I know.
And the rest is basically, like, Tony being like, guess what else we did? And then we did this. And another thing I will tell you guys, if you ever want to get into the... oh, here comes my mom.
We should probably wrap it up soon anyway.
Yeah, it's been a while. But if you ever want to, like, if you're ever interested in people like Tony Robbins or... other types of, like, charismatic, like, thought leaders, like, guru type guys like that.
Yep. People
who do those, like, they have, like, the free webinar, but then you can sign up and pay, like, $4,000 for, like, the course.
Yep.
And, like, so the thing is that when they do those free ones to introduce you to their thing, that free one is going to be, however long it is, even if it's, like, 4 days, you can basically take the total time and go, like, 2/3 of that time is going to be the message and the ideas. Oh, Mom, calm down. The messages.
The message is going to take up only...
2/3 of it is going to be the actual wisdoms, and 1/3 is going to be teasing the course.
Yeah.
And telling you that you're going to get more different things.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm going to tell you. Just take that stuff from the main seminar, the first seminar, for free. Because guess why? They're not going to not give you their best stuff when they're selling it to you.
Yeah, that's true.
That course is just going to be more filler or, like, little, like, other tricks that have to do with the stuff they already told you in the free one.
Yeah.
Because nobody shows you their lesser stuff and then says, buy my course, it's even better.
Right.
Why would you?
Yeah.
So that's what I always say is like...
Yeah, do a little test run of the Tony Robbins course.
Just know that all of their things, their classes, their seminars, webinars, whatever, are actually just advertisements, long form, but it's like 1/3 to 2/3.
Okay.
And you don't have to sign up for the class because signing up for the class isn't really going to... It's just going to be more reinforcement of the same stuff they already just told you.
Yeah.
So if you take notes and write down the wisdoms that you take from it, then just take those for free and don't worry about it.
And I would
say... in life, I say take most things for free.
Take it for free. There's a lot of free Bibles out there. But anyway.
It only costs the price of a night in a hotel.
That's right. Okay, does anyone anything else you want to say before we wrap it up, Em? Or we've been going about 2 hours.
I want to say thank you to everyone who has joined in this discussion. It's been a very enlightening and edifying time to chitter-chatter about thoughts and hear some other people's experiences and thoughts. And I think in the end, I mean, as long as people can have discourse and share ideas and thoughts and have differing opinions without having to be angry, then humanity is fine.
Oh, yeah.
The problem comes in is when people jump straight from disagreement to rage. And unfortunately, I think that the blind faith required for most religious practice is also the same type of thing that can lead you to jump straight to rage from disagreement because you're so, like, you can't tolerate anything that sways you from this thought.
Yeah.
So you're very upset by it.
And I would second that rage is never, if rage is what you're experiencing when you're practicing any sort of religion or experimenting with any religion, then that is an indicator to find a different tact, a different course, because rage is not the end result of religion done properly, is what I would say to that. But first of all, American in the Discord did want to tell us a little story. Is that cool?
Yeah, for
sure.
Okay,
American, go ahead, brother. Welcome.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Hopefully I can hear you. It sounds like you're underwater. Is that just me? I think your mic, is your mic far away or not? Or do you have headphones?
Using headphones.
I see.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better. That's better. What's up, bro? What happened?
Here, all right. Let me see if this is better.
No, you sound good. You sound good right now.
Yep, you're good.
Is it working?
Yeah, you sound great, man. Can you hear us?
Yeah, it's very silent. I don't know why.
Oh, I'm very quiet?
Yeah.
In Discord?
Hey,
are you on mute?
No.
Oh, I can't really hear. Is that me?
I can leave the Discord and come back. No, I can't get on the stage. Okay, speak on stage. Oh.
And now they're gone.
Now American's gone. We'll get this. It'll be quick. Okay, I'm going to invite him to speak. All right. Can you hear us, American? Can you hear us? Testing.
Yeah, you can hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, we can hear you. What's up, bro? What's up? Welcome.
So I'm just gonna be quick with this because I know y'all want to leave.
No rush, man. Yeah, whatever it is.
So I'm a veteran. So when I got out the Marine Corps, I applied for some benefits. I was in the infantry for 4 years, been through a lot, so I applied for some benefits, right?
Right.
And I got it for a while, and then I tried to do some other stuff along with my friends, and it got decreased. And it got like severely decreased, and I got taken away. And so I was like, damn, dude. So I was trying to fight it for a long time.
Damn, bro.
Okay. It just didn't work out.
Yeah.
And I was like, and so I just accepted it, and I prayed. I was like, all right, I just accept it.
Yeah.
And so the decision was like final in January. It was final, and that was it. And I was like, okay, whatever. And so come May, like out of nowhere, like legitimately, they reversed the decision, and it's
No.
I've never seen this in my life. I have many friends in the military. They've never seen this. I never applied an appeal. I never did anything. I was just done with it.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere. I've never seen it, but like out of the blue, they looked back into it and they reversed it.
No way. And you said you prayed. You said you prayed for that.
Yeah. And
yeah.
I know it doesn't sound as crazy as you think.
No, it sounds insane, brother. That's called a miracle. That's what you call a miracle.
In the situation that I am, I was like, damn, dude, I could really use this. Like, I was like, damn, like, what's happening? And so I was just like, damn, dude, whatever. I'm just gonna accept it. But like, out of nowhere, like, I didn't appeal, I didn't do anything, I didn't send anything. I just accepted and just moved on my life. Out of nowhere, like.
And the military bureaucracy, as I understand it, is not particularly known for its efficiency or its compassion or its attention to detail or taking things back.
Out of their way.
Going out of their way.
I didn't do anything to ask for it. Like, it just happened.
That's
like
awesome.
Somebody decided to look back into it way after the decision was finally made. Like, it was finally made in January. That was it, in the story. And I was like, whatever. And like way months after, I was like, dude, what the hell just happened? And it was like reversed overnight. I was literally just like in my bed and I just looked on my phone. I was like, wait, what the heck is this? And like, I was like, I was mind blown, dude. It was insane.
Be mind blown. What? Sorry.
And I was just like, dude, I had no idea how that happened. I asked all my friends. I asked people in the VA. I asked all some people. I was like, dude, what happened? Like, they're like, I've never seen that before. I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's like never happened to anybody else that I know. I was just like, this is crazy.
That's incredible, man. And that's something to be told, like, just amazed by, mesmerized by, because you're right, that doesn't happen. And you know what did happen is that Christ speaks to people in their hearts, and he makes them do things out of love that they don't even know what they're doing. They don't know why they're doing it, but it's because he answers prayers. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I'm like trying to like, I know it's hard to like understand exactly because like, dealing with the VA, it's hard to understand if you haven't done it before, but that shit does not, use my language, but that doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. And Em and I just went to the most defunct VA center on earth to play golf. You know that place?
We went to Heroes Golf, which is on the property of the VA.
It's a giant VA, and it's a tragic site.
Well, I don't find it tragic.
It's a beautiful place,
but that place was built after the Civil War.
Yeah.
For the returning soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
And
but I mean the bureaucracy is such that there's just that you just have homeless veterans who are missing limbs and things like this, and they're just waiting outside to get help, and nobody will help them. They don't do anything. Yeah. They do nothing for the veterans. You know what I mean? I mean something sometimes, but
But like,
I'm going to say one thing, and this is it.
Yeah.
Many of the people who you see congregated near where the VA
are not veterans.
Okay,
that's fair, yeah.
Or perhaps they are not combat veterans, because combat veterans do receive a higher priority on all those services.
Okay.
But as I'm sure American can attest, that sure doesn't mean that the combat veterans are given the red carpet and everything handled no problem, easy peasy.
Right. Yeah. And what were you going to say, American? Sorry, before. Yeah,
I was going to say you're right about that. Combat veterans do receive like a priority, but like for me to get that reversed, I would have had to like feel and like have like a higher level review and a hearing and all this, and I was like, I'm not doing that. So I just like I was done with it, and I didn't do anything. I didn't appeal. I didn't say anything. I accepted it.
Wow.
Somebody would have like just months way after looked back into it themselves and said this isn't right. And they went back over all the people they've been looking at, all the cases they get, because they're very busy. All the time.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that happened.
That's called a miracle. When there's no explanation, it's called a miracle.
Well, I'm glad that happened for you, no matter how it happened.
Yeah.
I think that's fabulous that you had a better outcome than you thought, and that's really in the end. I mean, however or whatever you want to thank for something like that happening, like It's just a matter of being like, I'm so happy to be alive.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's what most, like, that for me a lot of times is my biggest problem. Not so much with religion itself, but with how people relate themselves to religion or what they think religion is telling them to do. Because I always say that if your religion is telling you to kill people,
yeah,
then you need to stop and go, wait.
Yeah. No, but in this case,
is killing people going to be good for me?
No.
And no. And so then it's like, well, then this religion, either the person who's giving me this message or the whole entire thing is sus.
Well, yeah, but so then if he were to take this message based on what happened, the message is, American, ask the God that I'm not even committed to say he exists, because that's where America was at. Like, he wasn't sure. He was kind of agnostic, maybe raised Christian in America, but he had a questioning posture, and we had a conversation one time, which was basically American brought a very good point, the divine hiddenness of God, where he said, why do you get to know for sure? Why does he show you miracles and things? I described a miracle that I'd witnessed and stuff like that, and he doesn't for me. That's not fair. That makes me think he doesn't exist, right? And then basically all I could say was, you're right. I don't know how to explain that. That's not fair. But
now a miracle happened.
Well, no, and I told him but I still recommend that you try it. That you try to talk to God. That you try to.
I think that's good advice.
And so, yeah. So then he tried it, and then what we get back is an actual answer to the prayer that defies logic. Like, why did this random person feel it in their heart to go back to American, a random guy in her stack of papers from months ago, when he's supposed to go through a trial and a retrial and all this stuff?
Yeah, I know a lot about it, and from what you're describing, it's like it definitely qualifies under miracle levels, because that isn't how bureaucracy works.
No, in any system.
So if it works in your favor in that way, it's very, very strong convincement that your question or your plea that you threw out there
was answered.
Was answered in the way that you wanted or needed it to be. Because that's the whole thing.
And in a way that you thought would be impossible.
That's the problem is that, like, now again, I'm not religious, but I tried hard to be for a long time. And what I will say is, it is a very, very dangerous road to hoe to take a seemingly blessing answered prayer as like what you're hanging your foundation on of how you're believing this.
Sure.
Because many, many prayers will either seemingly not be answered at all or be answered in ways contrary to how you thought.
Right.
But the aspect of faith is that you go, well, I don't know enough information, and this must be what is supposed to happen because it's what was sent to me from the higher power.
Yeah, I would take it as a sign, not the foundation. Right. So the foundation is the teaching.
Well, for sure.
And whatever you decide about, the way you're going to follow this, like, sort of discovery that there's something out there doing something for me. Now, what the foundation, the grounding of that is, what I would recommend is Scripture and Christ and all this stuff. But yeah, if you just cling, Em makes a good point, if you just cling to the miracle itself and say, well, as long as I see a miracle every 2 weeks, then I'll continue to believe in God. Right. That's not going to work. But just rejoice. I mean, this is such a great moment. You should be totally rejoicing.
I'm super happy that you're getting what you
should be totally rejoicing
because you do deserve it.
You deserve it,
and it was wrong that they denied it to you in the first place.
Well,
and
that's how God turns bad to good. Yeah, say something. Yeah.
So exactly what you're saying is, like, I have tried, like, okay, maybe this isn't a miracle, maybe, like, but why would this happen? I didn't appeal, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Why would someone, like, just go months after decisions finally made? Like, I literally got a letter in the mail saying this is final, like, this is the decision, final.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. And I was like, okay. And like, but you can file for an appeal, you can file for a higher level review. I was like, I'm not going to do that.
Yep.
And then I'm like, so how does it make sense that somebody would just like 6 months, like way after, not 6 months, but like way after, like just randomly look at this, even though they got piles and piles of other claims.
Yeah,
it just doesn't make sense.
No, you're absolutely right.
That's why it hit me, because I was like, I talked to many people and they're like, dude, I don't know. And so some context for previous is like, me and my friends, when we got out, we all like, you know, we did what we were told. Like when you get out of the infantry and the military, and they're like, you should definitely file for these things. Like I was in the Middle East, I did all this stuff. And I was told, you need to file for this. And so during this duration, like the VA came hard on me for some reason, very hard on me. They were like, took a lot of stuff away, and that didn't happen to any of my other friends that I served with.
Damn.
And everybody was like, dude, I don't know what the hell's going on. Like, I don't know why they're doing that to you. I don't know. And I was like, dude, this sucks. I don't know what's going on. And like I tried my hardest to like fix it and like figure out what was going on. And eventually I was just like, dude, I just need to accept this and just move on with my life. And so that's what I did. And then all of a sudden, boom, this happens. I'm like, what the hell just happened? I'm like, this is crazy.
That's amazing. No, that's so cool. And then compare that with, remember that then, and I don't believe, personally, I don't believe in coincidences, right? So the fact that you'd be tuned into this stream and all that, none of these things are coincidences. Pair that with the fact that you had this memory of your dream as a child. And now you're reconnecting the memory of that dream with this more like, but you're like, oh, it's a dream, so maybe I tricked myself. Well, you didn't trick yourself that the VA did this insane thing. So connect those two things, you know, rejoice in that connection, sing the, you know, be grateful for what's been done for you. But it's just amazing.
This is not something I would build my foundation on. And like, still, I'm not even too sure, like, I do accept it, like, and if that is, that's great, and that's awesome. Like, I'm not saying, oh, I'm all of a sudden a born-again Christian.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's not how it works.
No, I hope you didn't interpret what I said that way. I wasn't saying, like, simplistically.
That's not how I interpreted it. I was just, like, making that clear, and, like, that's just, I've tried to explain it, like, trying to think this in a more, like, logical way, and, like, a more, like, scientific or however you want to say way, and I was like, I just don't understand how this would happen. Like,
there is none. Yeah, there is no real scientific way that could have happened, is there?
It's just wild to me.
Yeah.
And,
you know, love is all around us.
Love is all around, brother, and that's what it's all about. It's love for you and taking care of you for your service, which I thank you for, and I'm so glad that you get to enjoy these benefits because, it's horrible what the VA can do to people, but what they bring, you know, I'm glad they can bring it to you, you know.
And that dream I was telling you about, like, that's someone wild. I don't really tell anybody about that either. It's like, when that happened, like, dude, it was like a night and day feeling. It was like, when I tell you I was like in my dream and like there was a demon like literally crawling slowly towards me, and my vision was literally like distorting, like my reality was like everything was like getting blurry and like shaking. I was like, what the hell is going on? So like my first instinct was go on my knees, pray. And I prayed, boom,
it's all better.
All of a sudden I woke up, and that happened twice.
That's what I'm saying.
I was like, what the heck, dude?
Yeah. And he loves to come to people in dreams. Is coming to the well, we'll get into it on another stream, but there's a wave of Muslims having dreams about Jesus and converting in the Middle East right now, like thousands of them, reports, which is crazy. But so that's a valid way, and you know that's incredible, bro. I'm so glad you came and shared that with us. And I would say take it seriously and meditate about it, meditate on it, think about it, pray on it. And just enjoy the journey wherever that takes you. But then don't say next time, well, God never did nothing for me. You know what I mean?
I'm not, dude. I'm not. Look, hey, I'm never saying that again, bro. I'm not gonna say, oh, this is like the proof I need. But I'm also not saying God is. One more thing I wanted to say. Is there's a video that I saw that really like blew my mind on God in Christianity.
Yeah.
You know who Michael Knowles is? I'm sure you know who that is. But
Michael Knowles. Yeah.
He did a Shroud of Turin.
So
it was a thing about the Shroud of Turin with an expert, the Shroud of Turin, and they had the face cloth and the Shroud of Turin. And they explained, dude, that blew, oh my
I know. I've been there too, but I'm convinced by the Shroud of Turin. I think it's real. I think based on stuff like that. Yeah.
I mean, it definitely has to be Jesus' shroud. Whether you want to believe that he's divine or not, like it could just be a shroud and he was just a dude. Like it's real. Like,
it tracks to the same time, and the most convincing evidence to me is that we could not, with modern science, recreate it. So it can't be a forgery. If we can't forge it as hard as we can try now, then it simply can't be a forgery. So then what is it? It's either a forgery or it's not a forgery, right? Those are the only options, really. So I'm convinced by it.
Yeah, I just wanted to say if you want to watch a cool video, that's a cool video.
I will. I'll put that on the list for on Friday. I'll be back.
But yeah, I'm still like in between. I mean, I lean different ways, but that was just crazy that happened to me. So I thought I'd share
I'm so glad you shared that. I'm really glad you came and shared that. That's amazing, and I'm very grateful for that experience. I am.
Well, I think people of all persuasions are glad to hear of the good fortune of others.
Yes, indeed. Well, especially Em, because she's such a loving and nice and beautiful person. So she'll always be glad for that. Yeah.
At least I want you to think I am.
At least that's what she's trying to. That's what her lizard person mask is.
That's what I used to think when I was a little kid. I would be like, "You think you're such a nice, good person, but maybe you're just trying to convince everybody."
I know it's so horrible. That's not how it has to be.
It's like circles in your brain.
I know.
Like, everything you think, then you're like, are you thinking it for the right reason?
Right.
And when you already have mental illness, it's just like it's a soup.
It compounds. Yeah.
It's a soup that is very like you can't climb up the sides of the bowl.
I get that.
You're just swimming.
I get that.
And that is why I'm not anti-religion, but I'm not pro-religion.
But you're not ready to, but you're not willing to.
I mean, basically, and I think we'll close with this.
Yeah.
At least
let's close it. No, we gotta go.
Well, I would say basically part of the thing is that I firmly believe ACAB. And to me, the judger inside my head is a cop.
Okay.
And where does that judger come from? My religious upbringing.
Yeah.
So it's like the Bible is a cop and ACAB. So the Bible is bad in that sense to me because it's like
I see really it as this judger, as this cop.
I see a thing of someone who puts himself over someone else.
Yeah.
And as I said, I believe we're all one big thing. So how is anybody over anybody else? No one's over anybody else. That's why I don't have a job. Because somebody's like, I'm your boss, and I'm like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, technically I actually am, and I'm like, you think so?
Yeah.
And then they're like, you should go home.
Yeah. Well, I get that, and that is not the Bible that I would push or encourage you to read at all. And I can leave it at that. And I would say I
agree.
When I read what I get out of it, and this is not saying for you to read it and get this out of it, but I'll just add what I get out of it is I see someone who is above all, humbling himself to be below all, to be crucified and killed, and that is the redemptive act. So calling us all to put ourselves below the other. To humble ourselves, to serve at the world, at the feet of all of humankind.
Right.
And not stand above them and judge them and say, you should be shamed for this and that and hell and this and sin and that. But to rather bow down at people's feet, wash their feet. And that's the way I go at it. So there's ways to go at it, is all I'd say.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, there's as many ways as there are individuals.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's one of the problems when you get into these discussions is because people aren't necessarily making bad faith arguments, but if you do not see things the way they do, it appears they're making bad faith arguments.
Yeah.
And so you can reach an impasse.
Oh, yeah.
Because these concepts are concepts that your mind can only fleetingly grasp at and never hold tight.
Yeah.
And so if even in your own mind you cannot fully flesh it all the way out and say this is exactly it, then how can you convey it among people?
Yeah.
And that's why I think this was very productive exercise today.
Totally.
Because between you and me and the people in the chat, I think that we we're able to talk about these things and express how we see things without being like, mean. Well, here's where you're wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and I think that is productive. And
yeah, that's what we do on this. Yeah.
Thank you for letting me take
thank
part
you for
in that,
thank you for being a part of it, Em. Thank you guys for being here in the chat.
And it was nice meeting you, David. And it was nice
David,
meeting
an American, yeah.
And Numenon.
We had a couple other random passers by. Jackson Wanless, who's also Welsh, and
have a good night.
Yeah, have a good one, American.
Right,
great stuff, man.
So
really
much.
happy to hear about all that.
Be well and have a great week.
Yeah, be well, bro.